ready for another lesson?
Was that you queuing me in?
I'm just letting it roll right now, to be honest.
Okay. You know, you gotta cue me in that you're gonna cue me in.
No.
If you don't cue me in, that I'm gonna get queued in. I don't know when to come in.
You got 40 more seconds of playtime here. I'm just letting it go.
How long is this thing?
At least another 30 seconds.
That's fantastic. I guess I'll just write out this 30 seconds.
Do you want me to just fade it out here and you just start it off? How about I cue you now? I'm gonna cue you in 10 seconds.
All right, he's gonna cue me in 10. Okay, I can prepare for that.
All right, so T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, cue.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on today's episode, in the news, we have another video game adaptation coming to the small screen, the streaming screen, and more HBO cuts to their programming. We'll get to that in the news.
Ooh.
Trailer talk this week. He's back. Baba Yaga in John Wick Chapter 4 trailer. We'll get to that, of course. The news streaming. There's not much coming this week. We'll get to what we're watching, and then our main review for the episode is Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I started saying the Wakanda part at the end of Panther, so it turned into Black Panther. Anyway, before we get to any of that, I'm joined today, of course, by Nanotech Nathaniel Gingrich.
What up, folks? I'm Nanotech Nathaniel. I've got all this nanotech, and I don't know what to do with it because I'm not a superhero, and I just live my day-to-day life with a bunch of nanotech
Apparently,
stuff.
you can be with a lot of nanotech.
Yeah, well, I'm not interested in it actually. I'm just interested in just making my life easier, and instead of just saving all my nanotech tech for myself, I'll just
You'll give away the patent for free.
Yeah, fuck it, why not?
And then Pfizer will find a way to
no, because then I'll use my nanotech to make sure they don't do that. I'll just make little nanobots that go into their computers and make sure they don't do that.
Nanotech to get inside their nanotech.
See, this is
that way your nanotech is supreme to their nanotech.
It's called nano.
Yeah, I mean,
I like it.
If anything, I mean, my name's Nanotech Nathaniel, so that obviously gives me power over nanotech.
It does.
Otherwise,
No, it does.
Why
That's
would I be
how
named
copyrights and domains work, right?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Cool. Yeah, I won't check with a lawyer to double check my facts on that one.
So,
also joining us today, it's Atlantis Tyler Vidalis.
I was always fascinated with Atlantis and itself, so I'm cool with that. I'm down. There's water people. I think there's people down. There's got to be people down there.
Do you think you could be Atlantis's Sharkspert?
Yeah.
Would that be your role?
You don't think they
in
already
society?
have a Sharkspert?
No, I mean, well, I think he is that role. That's his member.
Yeah, he's saying that if I was an Atlantean, that would be my role. I think I'd be hellbent on trying to make myself part shark. I think that would be
maybe you could be the shark shepherd, because I'm sure sharks are integrated into the Atlantean society, as either a mode of transport or guard sharks or something like that.
Yeah, like street sharks.
Yeah, obviously.
One of Vin Diesel's first voice acting credits
was the commercial for it, wasn't it? Yeah. But yeah, that's where I picture you. I picture you the shark shepherd, Tyler.
I'm down.
I like it. And also joining us today, it's Big Cat BlakeHolder.
Hey, what up?
The classic.
With the classic.
I like the OG name though. I like.
Yeah,
it.
man. It felt right for this one.
Yeah.
Do you have a big cat fact?
Ooh.
Yeah, do we? How much Big Cat's been on recently?
Not much. I have an animal fact. I
Okay.
guess. Not even an animal fact. None of the cats, like, I may have said this on pod before. I've come across a YouTube page around the same time I came across Turning the Tables, but it's called Zoo Tier.
Oh, I remember
And
you
they
talking
rank-
about this. Yeah.
Yeah. And this
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
just
yeah.
put out another video, I think 2 days ago, on insects, and he ranks the insect tiers. And this guy puts out the most informative information in simplistic terms I've ever seen. It's
Okay.
phenomenal.
Fair
I
enough.
recommend everyone to watch it. But the S tier insect was
Ooh, can I
it
guess?
was, yeah, actually, let's do that. Go ahead. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna guess some sort of ant.
I would say you're correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say you're correct. It came down to that, and there's another one that was also S tier for kind of the same reason you would assume ants. If you could
It's
pick
like
the most
is it like
distinguishing fact of ants, like why they are so successful.
is it like power to body ratio or just like ability to work together?
You got it. The latter.
Okay, so just because there's so many of them and they can't, like, similar to my nanotech technology, they
Yeah,
are
Very
obviously
similar. Very
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah, basically
Micro
just,
nanotech. We have to get that right in case it ever comes up in court.
True,
Micro nanotech.
adamantium micro. What nanotech?
Yeah, let's cover all of our bases. Vibranium, micro nanotech.
Mithril.
Mithril.
Yeah. But basically it was ants and bees.
Yeah, bees.
Just for the part of them being able to like build an architecture, which is like the only other animals
But
that
see,
have
like-
that are humans.
But then, like, what about like the wasp, which is just a souped up evil bee? Like, I feel like that would be even a higher tier.
Yeah, but I think it was saying that just with how likely they are like to die with their only defense mechanism, just makes them not S tier.
Okay.
If that makes sense, right? Because anytime they're fight back and they're put into a jam,
Listen, who am I
it's pretty much a suicide mission, right? If they're put in vulnerable situations.
who am I to question zoo tier? I am not the expert here, folks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, great page though. Great page.
Yeah, I want to check that out because it sounds like a dope page.
Yeah, it's good, man. I mean, it's good. He breaks it down like by insects. There's some for cats. There's some for dogs. There's some for like crustaceans, like ocean life.
like
Everything, man.
With the
It's
plasma
good.
shrimp from Project Power.
Pistol shrimp.
Pistol shrimp. That's what.
Okay, so now we're just going down a rabbit hole of animals. Nonetheless, I saw a video on YouTube. This is maybe about probably 2 or 3 weeks ago of I forgot what shrimp it is. The one that like punches really, really fucking hard.
The pistol
Kind
shrimp.
of like how we're talking about in Project
I
Power.
think
Is
that's
that what it's called?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it.
Pistol shrimp. I think it's
Okay.
the same one.
And it's a guy like in a canoe, like, and he's somewhere like way out in the ocean. Like that's already creepy watching the video at that. It's like, how the fuck is this guy that far out on this canoe? But nonetheless, one of those shrimp gets into the canoe and he has like these rubber shoes on, right? Like these rubber footsie things
He
on.
starts melting it.
No, the crab punches him. That shit goes through the fucking shoe.
Yeah.
And he's bleeding.
Yeah.
Like, you know
so
what I mean?
the pistol shrimp will actually shoot water out of it like its mouth,
Right.
which is why it's called a pistol shrimp. There's another one that like basically snaps its tail.
That's what the one I was thinking of.
That is that's a mantis shrimp.
I think that's what it was, Ty.
And those have actually been like, if you touch one of those like with your bare finger, it will literally like split skin.
Right.
Like,
It
wide
like
open.
it like
I
Yeah.
believe it.
So that thing went through this guy's like footing, and I mean it was thick rubber too, as you can imagine. Any type of like a suit used for aquatic purposes, and
Right.
rubber's how thick that is, just for like temperature savings as well. But yeah, that shit went right through that, cut his foot and everything. I was like, man, that's
so it's the One Punch Man of shrimp is what we're getting to.
literally,
Basically.
that's literally what it was. And, like you see it happen on video, and the guy's like, ah, shit. Like you can hear his reaction, like you know it hurts.
All right, so to movies.
Hey man, we're having a good time.
we take a week off. This always happens.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that before we get into everything. I apologize for our absence last week. I came down with what I think was the flu, or it was some kind of sickness. I had like 100-degree fever for like 3 days on and off, and then I think it was Monday or Tuesday, I like slept for almost 14 and a half hours straight. Just kind of woke up at like 4 p.m. and was like, oh, this is happening. And so it just wasn't gonna happen for the pod last week. I was quite terribly sick. Haven't been that sick in a while. I was like down worse than COVID. I've had COVID twice and it was worse than that. So anyway, we're alive and well now. I've rejoined society.
Well, we're glad you're feeling better and in good spirits. First and foremost. Yeah. Secondly, I am devastated now that we've also missed American Psycho. This
twice.
Is now going on.
Yeah,
the time we've had to push this thing.
Yeah, this is the second time we've had to push it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get it in.
The podcast gods don't want that movie to go forward.
Yeah, they really don't want that movie on the pod. But I will say, I meant to bring this up pre-pod. We don't have a movie confirmed 100% next week, so we can discuss it.
We'll figure it out. No worries.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get into the news. Let's go ahead and talk about those movies. I was expecting more news, considering we missed 2 weeks. Usually it piles up to be a really large news week, but nothing crazy happened in the past 2 weeks. So our first news story of the day is one I'm actually pretty excited about, and also excited to hear you guys' thoughts. Gears of War is getting a straight to Netflix. Netflix is doing the adaptation, but they're getting a video game TV series and an animated series. Feature film and animated series. So it'll be coming straight to Netflix, as I said. There's really no details yet on what it'll be involved with as far as production and who's involved, and casting and stuff. There's been quite a few like fan rumors and fan castings of Dave Bautista being Marcus, which is fucking awesome and perfect. And it seems like Dave Bautista's on board because he posted himself in like Gears of War costume on like Instagram or something, or on Twitter. And he's like, it's about time, I've been waiting for this, or something like that. So if that happens, that's perfect and awesome, because I really don't know who else would better play Marcus.
You need one of those big fridge people, right? So you need you need maybe like a Josh Brolin or a Jeffrey Dean Morgan, one of those guys, or Dave Bautista is a great choice for that.
I really can't think of anybody better than Dave Bautista for that.
Yeah,
and I'm sure there's like some like muscle bound dude who probably just like literally
looks exactly like him.
Yeah, like created his look after him. Yeah. So maybe that guy, but he's probably not a good actor.
Yeah, Dave Bautista, proven good actor. And I feel like he could really just kind of play his character. Actually, maybe not his character from Army of the Dead, but to
very close.
Like
it seems like
that kind of persona, or at least in as far as like the action stuff goes. He's proven he can bring it both in acting and action. And I think that's a perfect casting. I really hope they run with that. But yeah, so it's going to be one feature-length film and then an adult animated series. Now, that makes me think that if they're having to classify the animated series as adult, it's one of two things. Either the feature film won't be too graphic, which would be very disappointing because the games kind of need that. So I really hope they don't stray too far away from kind of making it an adult feature film. Or they just wanted to clarify it because animated film... or animated series can make it sound like it's a kid's film, and they don't want to qualify it by saying, no, it's probably going to be something more along the lines of like Invincible, where you'll have the gore and stuff.
That's exactly what I was saying. I would imagine it's probably going to be more along the lines of they just wanting to say it's like that, or like that new Cyberpunk show that they did, or the what was it, the Altered Carbon animated show they did on Netflix as well too.
Altered Carbon was good.
The animated show or the regular show?
The live action.
Okay. Was there an animated show, Nathaniel?
There was, yeah.
Okay. Just making sure we're on the same page. But yeah, I am very down with this. What is your guys' experience with Gears of War?
I played a lot. Like a lot. Yeah, I was very, very, very into Gears of War.
Have you fallen out of it? It sounds like you made
once the kind of I don't know, probably like 3 or 4 hit, it just seemed like it was too spaced apart. Like 1 and 2 were just gold.
Gears of War 2 is
absolute
like
masterpieces.
Peak Xbox 360 game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made a lot of advances in kind of the multiplayer and the
For sure.
that style of running, gunning, and needing to get cover as well too. It felt like that was the first big game that kind of did that. And I learned my way around a chainsaw assault rifle, but
yeah.
What do they call those?
Lancers. Yeah.
Good shit, Tyler.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta turn a grub into a bunch of meat chunks. And
dude, just like one of the best things to ever be put
into a game,
into gaming. Yeah, like I just remember like my first time just cutting someone in half, and it was just pure magic.
I'm gonna clip that out of context.
Yeah, that's to say you gotta go ahead and clip that.
I know our first TikTok clip. That's our first TikTok clip. Is I just remember my first time cutting someone in half.
And that was it. The boomers, boom, and then they'd shoot that.
Dude, so much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, those games are dope. I mean, I've played them all. The only one I didn't complete was the 5th one, which is the latest. But I've completed 1 through 4. And
I just remember the first one being amazing because you could beat the co-op campaign session like in a day with your buddies. Like sit down with and just run the whole campaign for once. And I never really played a game like that. I felt like where like if you were just in one session with your friends, could just clock it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could do that. They had the horde mode as well.
They were so good.
Yeah, at horde. Yeah, they to Nathaniel's point. Yeah, they had a lot of jumps in to kind of shape gaming as we know today. And it's Mount Rushmore of Xbox titles. You know what I mean? It's that Halo.
Right.
I can't even tell you the other two, but those two I think are
definitely
1A,
the
1B for sure.
IPs from Xbox, and I think it's telling.
Rock Band.
I think it's very telling that they've gone with Netflix for this show, considering how poorly it went with the Halo show over at Paramount. And I think this is them being like, all right, well, that didn't work out, at least with that first season. So I'm glad they didn't decide to give this to Paramount as well, because they'd probably be like, oh, yeah, we're going to change the franchise. And that didn't happen very well last time. So
that feels oddly personal, Adam. I don't know what you could be referring to.
Just because Halo is like that franchise for me, of course.
Oh, okay,
yeah. My parents were here for Parents Weekend. This was almost 2 months ago now. And my roommate's dad was here, and my roommate's I guess mentioned to him how I was playing Halo competitively and stuff. So his dad brought it up to me, and my parents were there, and he goes, "Yeah, didn't they just make a Halo movie?" And then my dad, before he even had a chance to answer, he goes, "Oh no, it was a TV show, and he hated it." There we go, Papa Schwartz. There we go. Loyal listener, I don't even have to represent myself. My attorneys will speak for me.
Yeah. Speaking of,
I was gonna
jump
say
in on that. Speaking of pops, Nathaniel met my pops. This is last Saturday. Yeah, last Saturday.
I did.
I came in the store to pick something up. My dad came with me. So Nathaniel, my dad, they chomped it about The Wire for a minute, as you could imagine. It's my dad's favorite show. And you put me onto that. Then I turned Nathaniel onto that. So. Yeah, that was just kind of the quick spiel on that. I don't know if Nathaniel has anything he wants to share.
Papa Holder's one of the tallest men I've ever interacted with.
Sure.
He's there's not many people out there that make me feel small, and like I'm a moderately tall man for most guys, I would say. Yeah. And Papa Holder is a tall gentleman. But yeah, he was very gracious, and it was enjoying talking to him about some horror movies and stuff too. So it was a good time. Great to meet two of the papas. Well, I think I've met everyone's dad now on the podcast. So yeah, I'm collecting all your dads like Infinity Stones. Don't worry about it. We're starting a secondary pod. Dads of Back Row Banter.
That's clip number 2 on TikTok. Collecting all of your dads like Infinity Stones.
Why the fuck would he say that?
We've got so many good sound bites from this episode. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the Gears of War news. I'm excited for that. But we'll have to keep it keep it posted as far as like how that develops. And they've also said, depending on how the feature film goes and the animated series, how that goes and it's received, they're open to more stories within the universe. So I'm there for it. And on the other side of things, HBO, not making video game adaptations, not making new IPs, not making new shows. They have just canceled both Westworld and Degrassi, their Degrassi reboot. Degrassi, which we covered when it was announced earlier this year. So it's only been in development since January, so it's not like it was super far along. But they did, I don't know how much they spent, but they did go out of their way, it seems like, to get that IP and get all 15 seasons of the show just to kind of remake it off the hype of Euphoria season 2.
That's right. Didn't that get canceled too? Or was that a fake tweet?
No, I haven't seen anything about Euphoria getting canceled, because if they did, that's a horrible, horrible mistake.
Maybe I was just...
that'd be a huge mistake. That is such a young audience that they are captured with that show. Like every single person I know, almost every single person I know has seen that show and keeps up with it and is like week to week on it when the show's airing. So like that would be truly a huge mistake for them to cancel that show.
Maybe I was just having a good dream or something.
A good dream. All right, Nathaniel, we can hash
Bit
this out. But yeah, so they have canceled Westworld after its 4th season. They are planning on 1/5 and final season. For the at least that's what the showrunners wanted and kind of said they envisioned. And Degrassi doesn't seem like it got their feet off the ground. But this is kind of unfortunate, but not like I'm blindsided by this, considering everything that's been happening with the merger of Discovery and HBO. Where who's their new owner? I forgot their
Discovery. Name. Well, the CEO is David Zaslav or whatever.
Yeah.
Mr.
That guy seems to be axing everything, so not too shocking.
Well, and it's kind of like I remember us saying at the time, like, "Don't you already have this?" Basically.
Yeah, with Degrassi, I'm not too shocked about that at all. It is Westworld is a little disappointing. I loved the first season. I thought the first season was incredible. The second season really lost me, and I haven't gone back since. But I know people saying, or people have said, like the third season recovered pretty well. I don't remember many people saying they watched the 4th season, but it just kind of sucks that they don't get to finish out their story, because. You know, as the article, if you want to read into it, discusses this more, but and I think they bring up a good point where it's like, if in the age of streaming, it's kind of hard to have a property that isn't finished, and people aren't really going to start. Well, they're not going to want to start a show that they know doesn't have an ending, and so at this point, by not giving them a 5th season, you're kind of just kneecapping yourself as far as like long-term viewership of that show goes. You know,
yeah.
And then you kind of get into the nitty gritty of, is the money worth it for that? How much are you actually making from that? You know, you can get into all that, but it does suck. I would have liked to have seen that show finished how they wanted it to end, because say I wanted to go back one day, it's kind of disappointing knowing I won't get the full story.
I think we've reached the point of saturation, or the saturation point, some would say.
The saturation point.
Yeah, the point of saturation, aka the saturation point. Just like on TV shows in general, like there's just so much shit out there nowadays that like I feel like at Westworld, appreciate it for what it was, had one good season. That's enough at this point, like to like the average viewer, that this won't be super missed kind of thing. But I think there's just so much. There's too much out there at this point, and we're going to snap back from this, and there will be a point where there isn't as much just kind of shit out there. At least hopefully.
You know what I find crazy as well is like we at least our generation, or at least people who pay attention to this kind of stuff or are interested in this kind of stuff, because I know people who like just don't watch TV and movies, but like we go to streaming service 99% of the time. Like I don't even know if I only watch live cable or live TV for sports. That's 100% the only time I'm watching that, or like award shows. But like when I watch sports and I see like the ads for like the sitcoms on TV that are still like airing weekly and stuff, and there's like always a new sitcom or new like cop drama or a new this show with this stereotype. It's just like wild to me that all these shows still get made. On top of everything that's on the streaming services. It's just like I don't even know how many new ideas there are. It seems like everything is being rehashed and with a new label.
I couldn't tell you a current sitcom or current like show anymore on like any of the major quote unquote networks from like ABC, CBS, NBC anymore.
What was the last show you guys watched week to week on cable?
I couldn't even tell you.
Are you saying actually on, like, did I have to watch it on cable or?
Yeah, like TV sitcom on cable, because I know there's week to week streaming shows now that of course we watch, but like,
right.
when was the last time you sat down at 6:30 p.m. Eastern to watch the new episode of X show?
I couldn't tell you. Very, very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like the house finale in high school.
Really? That long ago, huh?
Yeah, because I think I went immediately into college after that, and then it was just Netflix or whatever. And then since then, I've never really owned cable. It's just been streaming.
Yeah, I guess it's a fair point. I just remember back to the days of like Modern Family. I would always watch with my family, or Big Bang Theory is another one. But it's hard to think of like the last show I truly sat down to watch week to week. It's been so long.
Unless you're counting like The Mandalorian or something.
Well, yeah, I'm not. I'm saying cable because I still watch those kind of shows week to week, of course. Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me that's kind of concerning out of the story is just the Zaslav guy seems to be cutting a lot, and like although these aren't shows as we kind of discussed that needed saving or needed to be put through, it just makes me nervous for like what's next.
I think at this point it's clear that guy's like been I don't know. My theory is that he was brought in to basically streamline the whole thing and sell it off again to someone else because they realize they can't make money off of it.
Warner Bros. In general?
I'm talking about Discovery as like
okay.
their like cachet or whatever. They bought it. Now they're slashing everything to make it a quote unquote streamlined platform, and then we'll sell it on to someone else who will hold it for a while or something.
Yeah, that could happen. I could see it. All right. Well, that's it for the news. We can go ahead and get into perhaps the biggest piece of the episode. If you're a diehard fan like I am, John Wick Chapter 4, our first full trailer. It's not a teaser, it's a trailer. And my favorite part about it, they don't call it a teaser. All right, I'm tired of these 5-minute long teasers that they keep bringing out. Like, no, this is 2 minutes and 50 seconds. It's awesome, but it's a trailer. What are you guys' thoughts here? Does it say anywhere? Let me see if I can find where this takes place in the John Wick timeline. It doesn't really say, it seems like. Well, we don't really know, but it's continuing, of course, following Chapter 3 Parabellum, which I believe was their highest grossing John Wick film. Yep, it's the highest one at $181 million in the global box office, which seems small. I think this one will be huge. I think since John Wick 3, it's become more popular. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I would say so. I don't know if it's more popular or if like people are like, because like there's still people that I like talk to that are like, yeah, no, I've never seen it, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So maybe they're like people are just running through it and they're catching it like on a binge, which is still really good.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's like one of those movies like 300, bro. Like you're not like a man. You don't get a man card until you've seen this.
That's true. Yeah. I don't know. I'm really excited for this. I know you guys were kind of mixed after we did our John Wick review on whether you guys need more of this. Does this change your guys' mind at all?
I mean, not necessarily. Just be clear. I'm certainly going to watch this film. right? Because I do think it's going to be enjoyable. In terms of, is this something I really need? I would say no, but I mean, I will watch Keanu Reeves dual wield pistols in a black tux every day of the week if possible. So
It is
I'll go
possible.
watch
You
it.
just watch John Wick 1 through 3 on repeat.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll go see it, but it's not something I was really. Man, I wish they'd make another John Wick, right? Like I was never
Sure.
really on that board, but
Yeah,
they've got my
I
ticket
gotcha.
for sure.
The dogs are back.
The dogs. Halle Berry, gotta love her.
And not Forrest Whitaker, Lawrence Fishburne. It's the F names. I always get those ones mixed up.
I don't think Forrest Whitaker would
and
feel too out
Forrest.
of place in a universe like this, though.
No, to be honest.
Yeah,
In fact, he could probably play Forrest Whitaker as himself in John Wick,
For sure.
and I wouldn't be upset about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as Blake. I wasn't asking for this one, I'll watch it. I don't know, and this is the other thing nowadays too. Is just like, is this one that I need to go see in theaters? I don't know. I don't know. They're starting to have to make that argument more and more compelling for me, and it's also going to be interesting to see what that kind of dividing line becomes like more and more as we kind of shift into this world of some things are on streaming, some things on theater, some things go to both. Is it going to be, am I going to go and want to see giant action set pieces in movies? Is that what's going to get me into the theater? Is it, is it going to need to be a Black Panther, Wakanda Forever level of movie or something like that, I don't know. I'm saying a lot. But anyways, I'm yeah. It's your more weird people with accents trading weird items and deciding to try and kill each other. I'm in. And Bill Skarsgård.
Bill Skarsgård. I don't know. To me, this is like, if it was possible, I'm now more excited.
What's it gonna take for you? What is the John Wick breaking point? Is there?
I don't want it to go forever, but I think they've said they're ending with 5, and I think that's the perfect number.
Okay.
Like I am so cool with this being like a final 2-part chapter or whatever, and then we're done, and then we just have our little John Wick, pentilogy, and I get my little box set, and I call it a day.
Okay, so that's what we're building towards. We're building towards the box set.
We are building towards the box set. That is confirmed. Even though I already have the first 3 in 4K, I will buy a box set. Yeah, I like what they're doing here because I can tell. I think they know. I think they listen to the pod and they know your guys' gripes with like where they're at with John Wick, and I think they kind of know they need to reinvent some things a little bit, is kind of like the first one did. I don't know. I think if you were to watch the first one and you watched chapter 4, I think you will see 2 very different movies in a lot of ways. And I think that's exciting because I think the fact that they're kind of aware of that issue instead of just they want to regurgitate more John Wick, I think you'll see a lot of new things. And I think from the trailer at least, it seems like they're challenging themselves to give us that kind of like edge as far as like, why you should be watching this movie or what makes it stand out from, not only other John Wick movies, but other action movies in general.
Man, I'm telling you, I like this brand new fresh-faced Aish. He's feeling good. He's glass half full out here. He's recovered from his 3rd bout with whatever evil disease is after him. Yeah, he's feeling positive. I hope you're right,
optimistic.
Man. Yeah.
I'm optimistic, to say the least.
As we all want to be for our movies.
Yeah. Here's the dichotomy, listeners. I'm approaching 30. I've been thinking about it more. It's getting there.
Is this where you cue the Bo Burnham track?
Oh, God, yeah. I can't even... See, Bo Burnham's ruined that for me now, too, can't I? I can't even ruminate on being 30 anymore.
He can't even be 30. That's funny. All right, well, that's it for Trailer Talk. This comes out March 23rd of next year, so it's right around the corner. for better or for worse, it'll be here before we know it, because that means by the time we're watching that, I graduate in 2 months, and then my life's over.
And then you turn 30.
And then I turn 30, and then I die.
Then we have to find a new 20-year-old to continue the podcast with.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're saying you've never seen Spider-Man 1?
Oh, God. I feel like that day is actually already upon us. Like there are probably people.
Oh God, don't even talk about it.
High schoolers who haven't seen the original Spider-Man. I don't even want to think about that. All right, let's move on, so I don't have to think about that, to the Adam Schwartz's completely subjective news streaming list for the week of November 13th through the 19th. Not a lot coming this week, or that's wrong actually. It should have been the past 2 weeks. Anyway, well, this is this week. I'll go back maybe and give you guys the other. If I missed anything, I'll give it to you later. This is for the past week. Netflix is getting The Wonder, or The Wonder, however you want to pronounce that. This is Florence Pugh's new movie. Starring Florence Pugh, it's the tale of a young Irish girl who has eaten nothing since her 11th birthday and becomes a superstar. I don't know how that works, but I'm sure Florence Pugh can tell you. Right, Blake?
I agree.
Also coming to Netflix is Pepsi, Where's My Jet? This is a limited series documentary that I saw the trailer for on YouTube, and I was very intrigued. Are you guys familiar with the story?
Nope.
No.
It's a dude in either late 80s, early 90s, and Pepsi was doing some kind of marketing scheme where if you collected enough Pepsi points, which is that thing that people would do back then, like brands would do, so you bought enough products, you could exchange them for something else. And in their commercial for it was like a Harrier jet, like a military jet, and it was like for like 7 million Pepsi points or something. And so it's like this guy's quest to get the jet, but then it like actually turns into something like way more real, apparently. I don't know, it looked interesting and entertaining, so I put it on the list in case you want to check it out. And then the Cuphead show season 3. I didn't know there were 3 seasons of this, but if there's 3 seasons, it means they're pretty good. So, and I love the Cuphead games, so that's how that made that on the list. Amazon Prime and Hulu are not getting much, and HBO Max is getting the Entourage movie from 2015, and that'll be it for the new streaming list. Like I said, pretty light, not a lot there, but there's nothing that interests you there. I'm sure one of us could tell you something that's interesting that maybe you want to check out. Nathaniel?
Yes.
The list was dry. What should the listener be watching?
Well, I got to some things. Maybe not as much as you'd expect over 2 weeks. I've really been watching.
You usually come with these really long lists.
Yeah.
It usually takes an hour.
I've been watching a lot of Critical Role, which I've been talking about over the last couple weeks, I think. So Waz and I are in the middle of trying to catch up onto their current campaign, which is like.
I was about to ask, where are you guys? Because I know they have a bajillion seasons.
Yeah, so we're doing the 3rd. Well, that actually ties in a little bit. Amazon Prime has animated their original campaign into The Legend of Vox Machina.
Yeah.
Which is like a legitimate animated show that's very similar, I'd say. It's like a fantasy level Invincible. Very gory, very fun, light and tongue in cheek, all that good stuff. So you can watch that if you want to. I watched a few episodes of that as well. But we are watching their 3rd campaign, which is their ongoing one, which they are 39 bordering on 40 episodes in, and each one of those is like 3 to 4 hours long, and we're on 15 or 16, I want to say.
Okay.
So we're putting in work, but yeah, almost caught up.
That's a grind.
Yeah. So
yeah, you still enjoy it?
I do. Yeah. I think I've talked in past weeks how it like weirdly like just is a great unwinding show for me at the end of the night to help me get rid of the day and work and go to bed. So that's what I'm using right now, and it's nice. I watched American Psycho, which we'll talk about at some point as well too. I rewatched the movie Vice with Christian Bale because I was on a little bit of a Christian Bale kick after
little Bale bend.
Yeah, a little Bale bender. A little Bale bender after American Psycho. So I watched Vice, where he plays Dick Cheney,
of course.
As well too. That's a fun movie if you can find it. It's always tough to find those ones. I think they're occasionally on streaming. A lot of times you have to like rent them or something like that as well too.
Comes in and out.
Yeah.
Often. Let me see if I can find where it's streaming right now.
While you do that, I will talk about. I went to
Paramount Plus.
Oh well, there you go. I went to the theaters to see One Piece film Red, which is the new One Piece movie, which was crazy. And yeah, if you're interested in that, you should go see it. Big pirate dance movie.
I was gonna say, I heard it's like almost nothing but just like a musical.
It is centered around a pop star in that universe that is trying to get people to come to one giant dance party on an island, and it's one of those things too where you're just like, you almost view it as like, I'm going and experiencing a culture I don't know, so you're just kind of like along for the ride in some ways too, and that's always a fun time. And yeah, I mean, I love One Piece. I've read all of it. I've talked about that before, and I'm up to date on the book version of it. And obviously, I've dipped in and out of the show every now and then. But it's pirates with superpowers. What more can you ask for?
Space pirates with superpowers.
I mean, that'll probably be the next thing. And going off that as well, too, more anime I got to. There's a show that we've been watching called Death Parade, which I think I might have referenced on the show before, or on the pod before at least. It's basically it's set in a world where when two people die, they go to this bar and they have to play a game to determine which person goes up for reincarnation and which soul goes down to hell to get eliminated, basically. And the game is always a casino-style game where it's like either billiards or pool or something like that, but it's designed to basically bring out the best or worst in a person, and then these people decide whether you go up or down, basically. And so it's obviously a person enters into that kind of arrangement and doesn't have to play a game and is kind of watching it and seeing how it moves and what the functions are and everything like that. And it's an interesting show. Fun times and a little bit spooky. How many
seasons?
Just one. So and it's all on Funimation, so easily available as well too. I have also.
You said it's a little bit more goofy, or is that like
spooky?
More of a serious thing?
Spooky is what I said.
Spooky. Okay.
Yeah. Because it's about death and everything.
I was gonna say you're describing the show. I'm like, this sounds far from goofy, but
no, yeah,
so.
I definitely say it's like it's that weird kind of anime mix you'll get sometimes where it's like very kind of morbid subject matter, but like pretty lighthearted overall tone kind of thing as well too. So that's always fun, and it's it's good. It's interesting. It's got a great sense of style to it, like all those shows often do. So definitely worth a watch. I'd say watch a couple episodes, see if you like it.
Okay.
What I would recommend, what I have been enjoying, has been Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix, which is the Guillermo del Toro anthology series, where they've gotten different directors and different writers to work on a different short story, basically. It's kind of been that they've been adapting each time. And the one I watched today, there was the third and fourth episode, I want to say, which was the guy that directed The Empty Man, which I talked about on podcast a few weeks ago. He did an episode called The Autopsy, which was really interesting and fun. And then Anna Lily Amirpour, who did A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night and The Bad Batch, which are two kind of cult indie movies, which I would definitely recommend for anyone who has watched or listens to the pod if they haven't seen it before. She did another one on there as well too that was pretty interesting too. So I'm very much enjoying it. It's definitely for those that want that spooky anthology series around Halloween time or something like that too. And I will end my what I've been watching with the best show I think on television, which I kind of feel like I'm in a weird echo chamber for, which is Andor. And I don't know how no one else is talking about this. I kind of feel weird and like on my own with this, but this fucking show is so fucking good. Like, I cannot describe to everyone how good this thing has been, and I need other people to watch it so I can feel like I'm not just crazy. And
that'll be my series I go to after Succession, I promise.
All right, good.
I got around to a couple episodes this week. I feel like I'm going to have to like do a rewatch though. Because there was like a time where I just like stopped watching for like almost probably like a week and a half.
Have you gotten to the prison arc yet?
No.
There's arcs in this show?
There's like the first 3 episodes I say are kind of an arc, and then there's a 3-episode arc after that I'd say is kind of a thing
it's only
too.
12 episodes. I didn't know there's arcs in this.
Yeah, there definitely is. Like it's legit. There's storytelling, folks. It's not just like
no way.
I'm telling you, there's actual storytelling. There's not just like, oh my god, it's glub.
I don't know if I believe you, Nathaniel.
It's glub shit-o.
There hasn't been an original story in Star Wars since 1973.
Adam Schwartz, I'm telling you right now. We have full-on development. We have arcs.
This is awesome.
We have catharsis. We have heartbreak. There's a bit in one of the episodes that this
sounds like there's something for everyone here.
That there's one that like 2 back-to-back episodes 2 weeks in a row that just ended on gut punch endings where you're just like, oh, I need to go and talk about this with people like afterwards. Like, if I'm telling you, it is like
the show finished, right?
No, it's still got 2 episodes left. But right now, there's been episodes that just have shit on episodes of House of the Dragon. I'm gonna come out and say it. It is that good.
Okay, I believe you. I know I would not. I know you wouldn't say those words lightly to me.
And you don't have to be a Star Wars person. That's what I want to stress as well as much of this as possible. You do not have to be a Star Wars.
It comes off as a very just like a very sci-fi movie.
Show.
And it's really good.
Stellan Skarsgård just laid a beat down on a monologue like 2 weeks ago that I was just like, my jaw was on the floor afterwards as well too. And if you, Adam, if you've somehow avoided who like the cameos are on this show as well too,
I have like, not heard much.
Yeah, please go into it as blind as you can because there's a character that they've introduced that's played by a fairly famous actor that you would like. Okay. One of the best characters
I would recognize.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Is it Florence Pugh?
It is not Florence Pugh.
Damn.
That'd be like the easiest buy-in for
Blake. I was gonna say, if it was Florence Pugh, don't you think I would have sold this to Blake already? I would have like forced him to sit and watch.
Wars. She'll be there eventually.
Like Clockwork Orange with his eyes pinned open.
I agree, Adam. Give it a few movies, she'll be in that universe.
Yeah.
But that's what I've been watching. So if anyone wants to pick it up from there, please do.
I will pause really quick and ask, any GP action? Did you get to the
no, I was actually watching UFC 281 the night before, and I was
you couldn't wake up by 2 p.m.
Yes, I was deeply involved in that as well too.
That's very fair. I'm not one to talk about waking up late.
But yeah,
it was a noon start.
Noon, okay. Still, it wasn't 5 a.m. like they all.
No, it wasn't.
I work on Sundays as well too.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I was gonna give him shit for not being up by noon as well, but
yeah.
Listen, Israel Adesanya, the last stylebender, lost in dramatic KO fashion in the last round of the fight.
Last airbender?
Last stylebender.
Yeah, that's what he calls himself. Stylebender.
That's funny.
He's great, and he lost last round as well too. It was insane.
I heard it was I saw something on Twitter about it.
It was crazy. It was. I think they set the record for most first round finishes on like a fight card as well. I think there was like 2 cards that went to a decision, or 2 fights that went to a decision. It was nuts, and it was a really good card. But anyways, I digress. Someone else talk now.
You choose.
I'll jump in and just to kind of challenge Nathaniel said the best show running on TV right now is I think I just finished the best show. Well, I guess it's no longer running on TV, but the final episode aired last week, and that was Atlanta.
Ooh.
So that was the series finale aired last week, the 4th season final episode and the final episode of the show, period. So good. I really like the 4th season. The 4th and the 3rd season are a little quote unquote out there. Those are like, I don't know how to describe it. They're very Atlanta episodes, if that makes sense, because you don't really know kind of like what world this show takes place in. There's so many situations of like people referencing other famous people, and those people will be of like different races and different genders and stuff. So it's like really interesting.
Justin Bieber's a black man in that
right
show.
For context. Yeah, that's like season 1. Yeah, so I think that's where Nathaniel stopped. Was that the last episode you said you watched?
Yes, I will promise I will go back to Atlanta. I know I need to go back to it. That's also a show that feels like in like 5 years, if they want to do another season of, they could just do it at some point.
I hope so, dude. I hope so. after finishing that, I mean, I think that's my favorite show of all time. Probably after The Wire. I think that's an easier watch than The Wire though, because episodes like 40 minutes a pop,
Sure.
opposed to like an hour 5 and 6 seasons. But yeah, overall, really good show. There's great character development in the final season where you see kind of people complete character arcs. People kind of rejoice their relationships, friendships. You get backstories on characters. But yeah, overall, great show. It's hilarious. There's some really like down to earth moments too, in terms of deep topics, in terms of like race, gun violence in the Black community, things of that nature. Great show though. Donald Glover's a genius, as well as the director, a hero. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I don't want to butcher it. But I believe it starts with an S. I would actually love to see them, Hero and Donald Glover, take on some sort of horror movie. There's a few episodes scattered throughout the series that are pretty much like horror drama type episodes based on like what the character's going through at that time, and they're really good at building tension.
There's there was one scene I remember where Donald Glover character's in a police office or in a jail, I want to say, and there's like a mentally ill man in there, and the police just beat the shit out of him in one scene. It like comes it comes out of nowhere too, and the way it's shot, you're just like, oh no, this feels way too real and way too like
for sure,
yeah. That was horrifying. That was so I'm behind you there on that. They could definitely do that.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, it's really good. I mean, there's even there's like commercials in that show, like when they're watching TV, and it's like an animated like wolf, kind of like Tony the Tiger type thing, but it's like a commercial, and like the wolf is trying to get cereal from kids, and like the police always beat the wolf up. And he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I just trying to get this cereal." He's like, "I could be out here eating these kids, and y'all beat my ass for trying to get cereal." So it's just like really good in terms of the show, like touches on things like that. But yeah, I would recommend anybody watch that. That's one of my favorite shows of all time.
I gotta check that out too. I'll get to Andor and then I'll get to Atlanta. Someone hold me accountable.
Just start with the A's.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. So yeah, finish that. Very, very sad, but very pleasing as well. Another thing I rewatched The Ritual by David Bruckner, and I wanted to get to that just because I watched Hellraiser by him maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
And I think I want to stand on that The Ritual is my favorite David Bruckner film. I think I like it more than Hellraiser. I think I like it a little more than The Night House. And The Night House is awesome as well. So I think that's just kind of showing that David Bruckner he's shooting at a pretty high clip right now for putting together horror movies. And he's gonna
Nathaniel, have I seen David Bruckner?
You have not. No, you haven't seen The Ritual or The Night House yet, I don't believe. And those are kind of his two other movies.
You've never seen The Ritual? That's a Netflix show. It's a Netflix original.
That's one you could watch with like your buddies at college, and like everyone would enjoy, I would say.
For sure, yeah. It's only like an hour and like 30 minutes long too. It's really good. But yeah, so I wanted to rewatch that, just kind of get into a mood of David Bruckner, and he's also going to have a short film in the next VHS. So VHS 84 comes out next year, and David Bruckner has a short on there, as well as what's the gentleman who just did the Black Phone? Is it Scott Derrickson?
Scott Derrickson, yeah. That's our boy.
Yeah, so he'll be on there. He'll have a short. So I'm actually really anticipating the next VHS that'll come out. So yeah, that'll be kind of some neat facts on there. Another thing I got to was American Psycho, as kind of Nathaniel touched on. That movie's fucking awesome. I saw that movie for the first time earlier this year, and like as soon as I watched it, I was like, I hate myself for waiting 27 years to watch this movie.
Spoiler review for my little thing. If you watched it any earlier, you might not love it as much. So we'll talk about that more.
So?
Yeah, we'll talk about that more in our in our spoiler chat when we do get to American Psycho. But
okay, fair enough.
Bit
so
of
yeah, that one's off. And then I end up watching a GQ interview of Christian Bale shortly after.
I think I saw the same thing. Were we talking about
the same thing? Yeah, and I think even my dad may have even seen the same interview. So it was like a really weird scenario that got brought up when Nathaniel met my dad, and we all started talking about it. And then that's when I came out. I was like, that's the first time I realized that Christian Bale wasn't American.
Yes,
I thought he was American this entire time. And then Nathaniel and my dad were like, no, he's actually, where's he from? Is he from
He's Welsh.
He's British, I'm pretty sure, right?
He's
Well,
Welsh.
That's what it
He's
is.
from
He's
Wales.
Welsh,
Yeah.
So yeah, but sure enough, Nathaniel, my dad knew that. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. But that was like mind blowing when I heard him speak, and I was like, holy shit! Like I just assumed he was an American. So that was really interesting to see.
You never really hear him do accents in movies, besides like Ford versus Ferrari, I would say.
Yeah, and I've never seen that. So
yeah.
You mean he doesn't do his natural accent?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think.
He is always putting on. Well, that's his thing. Is he does whatever movie he's doing, he will do the press junkets in that same accent as well too. So a lot of times, like that's why people didn't know he was Welsh. Was that when he was doing all those Batman stuff, he was doing the press interviews in the American Bruce Wayne accent.
In the Bruce Wayne accent, yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that was actually a really cool interview, and kind of see him talk about his roles and whatnot.
He seemed very down to earth.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, he
does seem like one of those guys that I'd actually want to meet and talk to.
Yeah, he seemed very down to earth for his stuff, and yeah, that's a really fun interview. It's on YouTube. It's like 20 minutes of him going over kind of his famous roles, and that's what made me want to watch Vice as well too.
Sure enough. So yeah, that's that. And then another thing that I've been doing a lot is I actually broke down and I bought God of War. Well, I didn't break down. I knew I was going to buy God of War. That was my intent of buying this PlayStation. Then I was kind of contemplating, should I do it? And I ended up buying it upon release, the same way I bought God of War 4, I guess, quote unquote, 4.
The reboot.
Upon release. Right. Bought that upon release too. And I am nothing short of ecstatic about my purchase. That was the best $77 I've spent in I don't know how long. That game is fucking fun. That's one of the best games I've played ever. And
I've heard it's
2 hours in, 3 hours in.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I never finished the first one.
As in like the first God of War, or you mean the one from 2018?
Like the 2018. I haven't played any of the God of Wars before that. So I kind of just jumped into that one because everyone was saying, oh, that's my favorite game of all time. And I was like, okay, I'll try it.
Yeah,
I got like
it's
10
up
hours
there.
into it.
Yeah, it's up there. Those are big games, and they're difficult games as well. I mean, I guess you could put it on the easier kind of level, right, and just like play through it for a cinematic piece. But
they do have a cinematic mode, I believe, or at least like some games that do nowadays, where it's just like if you just want to experience a story, it'll be as easy as pie. Like you can't even die. Like,
and the story is awesome on this too. So like, it's
I've heard
it looks phenomenal. This is one of the best looking games I've seen. Yeah, nonetheless, phenomenal fucking game, dude. I get home from work every day and I play that shit. So I think I've found something to hold me over. So
it's always a good feeling too when you find a game that you can just sink your teeth into.
Yeah,
and just like not fucking care about like the multiplayer aspect. Like you're just like thoroughly enjoying the story.
Yeah, I was missing a game like that, to Tyler's point, where I haven't had something like that, like non-multiplayer wise, probably since I played God of War 18, played Spider-Man 2018. I think there was a Tomb Raider 2018 or 2019. That's probably the last kind of game I really sunk into.
Yeah.
Have you played the last
mine was Valhalla?
I have not. I've only watched those on YouTube.
Yeah, I think it'd be worth checking out because they also just released the remastered version. And then it's completely redone pretty much to have updated graphics kind of on par for your PS5. So I would, once you're done with Ragnarok, if you're looking for another game, go ahead, pick up the like remastered version because it'll look incredible, play incredible, and the stories, I mean, you already know, but the story's fucking awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll certainly do that, and actually what I'm to after Ragnarok, so I plan on beating that probably in the next few weeks if I keep playing at the clip I'm playing right now, is going to be the Castillo Protocol. So that comes out, I think,
heard of that.
Early December. That's basically have you ever played Dead Space?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's basically Dead Space, just it's a new Dead Space game.
Gotcha.
It's not on the same IP, but it's made by the same guy, the same developer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one that comes out early December, and that's going to be another fucking hit. So I'm aiming to push through Ragnarok and then get that too. So we'll see where I'm after those two and how much gaming I got left in me. But yeah, to Tyler's point, very pleased to have a video game I can like get home, sit on my ass, and like, yeah, I'm playing this for like 4 hours straight.
Just a good feeling.
Yeah. That's all I've got. Adam?
Sure. Yeah, Ty, before I get on my list, are you excited for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm pretty hyped. The problem that I think I'm gonna run into though is I've talked about this game to so many people that my guess is you're probably only gonna be able to have like 4 people in your party.
Yeah.
And it's gonna get into those things where I'm gonna have to like pick nights to like play with people.
But you're gonna save me a spot, right?
Yeah. We'll fit you in there. I know I got like Justin, and Waz was talking about it, and then like Brett, I have him. He's gonna get his Switch. My sister wants to get it. I think Alex, Justin's girlfriend, wants to get it. So yeah. we're gonna be running around for a minute for sure.
Which one are you getting? I have no idea which one to get.
I'm gonna go Scarlet because I've heard that's the one that most people aren't getting. So, one, you'll have access to different Pokemon when you go into each other's worlds. It's good to have somebody that has the offset. And then, 2, Scarlet is just it's a version of Red, and Fire Red was one of my favorite games. And Red is also like my favorite color, as cliche and stupid as that sounds, but yeah. So I'm definitely going Scarlet.
All right, noted. Anyway, my list. It's been 2 weeks. I had 3 days in bed. So I have some stuff, but honestly, I spent most of that time that I had watching Succession, and I've burned through about a season and a half since I think I last updated everyone. So
have you
I'm
come
on
around
season 3.
Have you come around on the theme song yet?
I have. I've come all the way around.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like I still don't listen to it every time, but I do. If I'm going to sit down for a Succession watch, I'm at least listening to it once. It does get me going, as you said last episode. Yeah, I think I'm on season 3, episode 6 or 7 right now, so I'm getting close to catching up fully. Season 3 has been a little underwhelming, if I'm being honest, but I'm excited to see how it ends because I'm sure there's still good parts that I haven't got to. Anyway, that's been most of my time. That show's still incredible. Definitely go watch it. Nathaniel, you said you like season 3 the most?
I really enjoy season 3 a lot. But I also watched season 3 coming out of COVID, and I was just massively impressed with how they filmed that during COVID, and the fact that they were able to do all of that and that kind of thing and move that story along as well as they did and everything as well too. But I would say, if I remember correctly, season 3 does pick up a little bit towards the end as well too. So
yeah, that's kind of where I'm getting.
You're
to
also
right now.
just shotgunning it as well too. So I think you may also be.
I'm 1,000% fatigued. Where it's like I see the same trope being played over and over again at this point, and I'm just like, this is definitely a symptom of the fact that I've shotgunned this.
I think part of the beauty of Succession is that nothing really happens. Is that the status quo never really changes all that much.
It doesn't change at all.
It's always these huge dramatic things, but the Roys always come out on the end. And if you are just shotgunning that down, that can be definitely fatiguing, I'm sure.
It is. So I'm like kind of itching to get it done for that purpose, where it's just like I really enjoyed my time. But I'm, it's been a 6-hour flight, and I just don't want to be on this plane.
Yeah, you're also just in the presence of lunatics for 30 plus hours.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, because every single character in that show's psycho.
Oh yeah, and just seeing Tom Wamsgans, I think, is just one of the great TV characters. Like he's
without a doubt, like he is the best character in that show.
He's
and
just
one of the best characters ever. Yeah. My prediction for how the show ends is that Greg gets it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I think that'd be my perfect ending, because I think would give his character so much purpose for the show. Whereas like right now he's kind of just like the butting head of like a lot of jokes for people, and like if it was to come around or like somehow he actually ends up on top.
What does he say? He calls him he's like, Greg, you. Kendall calls him something in like the end of season 1.
Machiavellian fuck.
Greg, you Machiavellian fuck. I just lose my shit every time. Yeah, that show's just it's insane. And it's one of those ones where like you could try and explain it to people, but you're just like, You just sound like a crazy person as well too if you try and like.
You do, yeah, and it's a show. It's like hard to kind of sell people on too, because it's like, it's just, like this.
It's
media
horrible
conglomerate.
people.
Yeah, it's this media conglomerate. Their dad's passing away, and so it's like, who's gonna become CEO? And it's just like, that sounds so boring. But then like when you get to it, it's like that's not at all like. Obviously, that's like the plot pushing it forward, but what makes that show is the characters. And it's like you can't just describe the characters in the show because they're so out there that it just makes for a lot of fun. There's also like, I'll make this part quick, but there's so much like parallels to the Murdoch family that like that's all I can see at this point.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because the showrunners claim, we took inspiration from a lot of different wealthy families, but it's just like, okay. You look at what's happening in the Murdoch family with like the Fox News Corporation and whatnot, and you're like, okay, this is almost beat for beat what is going on.
Yeah, they're
some
Fox plus Disney in a weird way.
Yeah, basically
in the show universe. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, staying on with that, I will finish that out and then start Andor for you, Nathaniel. Also got to American Psycho. I'll hold off my thoughts on that. Got to the Brazilian Grand Prix. Ty, did you get to that?
The Grand Prix?
Yeah. Did you? Yeah. We woke up before noon.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Good race. Wild fucking race.
Yeah, I knew kind of during qualifying that things were going to get a little interesting. I kind of hoped that the rain stuck around for the weekend, just throw another kind of wrench and everything. But
dude, that would have been even crazier because
overall it was still fun.
Yeah, it was a dry race, but it might as well have been like a wet one. Yeah, fucking hella. I don't know if you would want to say drama, but just a lot of action. Some heartbreak, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you gonna defend your? Are you gonna defend your boy?
No, to an extent, right? So, I can't personally say that I would do that. I would probably let my teammate go, right? But that's just like who I am.
Ever.
Where is I'm not in that position, and Max has stated before that he doesn't play that game because that's just not who he is. He's like a competitor at like the highest level. Like he doesn't give a fuck if he has the chance to win something, even though he's already won the championship. He wants to shove it down everyone's throat. Like that's just who he is. And he's stated that before. So it doesn't surprise me that he did that. I don't personally support it, but at the end of the day, that's just like who he is. And you can't really blame him because he's the champion of the world for a reason.
That's the thing is he's the champion of the world. Like he'd still be world champion if he didn't race next week.
He would be, but it's just
he doesn't need those 2 points. And now Checo has to beat Leclerc for second. And I don't know. That was just really selfish because you have Checo who puts every single time Max is needed to go by him, doesn't really put up much of a fight. 100%. There was that one time earlier in the season, but like Checo has been the teammate for Max, and for him not to return the favor is
shitty.
Kind of shitty. And if I'm Checo, I'm reconsidering my role in things next season.
Again, it's like one of those things. Like you could say that, but like it's so hard because what are you gonna do? Go be a number 1 spot driver for fucking Williams or fucking Haas? Like, what's the point there? Like, look at Valtteri. Like, he's sitting in the middle of the grid, sometimes way towards the back because he drives for Alfa Romeo now, and it's clearly just not what Mercedes is. So it's one of those things. Like, do you want to be where Valtteri's at, where he's probably gonna sit pretty no matter what, or do you want to like go where Ricardo is and like he hasn't done shit all season and now he's like not even sitting in F1 next year?
Yeah, that's fair. No, I don't.
Doesn't matter.
I just think
at the end of the day,
we'll still know his role. Go ahead.
At the end of the day, Max looks like a bitch. So
Yeah.
That guy at the movie theater would really fight him. No, I mean, whatever. Max is gonna Max. Checo gonna Checo. It's F1. If I've learned anything from watching F1 over the few years, you get like your windows of opportunity, and you better take them because it could be gone very quickly. And,
high level, bro.
Yeah, I mean, eventually Max is going to drop off, and then there'll be someone else young and hungry, and Max may be in a position where he's second on a team, and we'll see how he feels then. But for right now, he's the guy. So I don't know. I guess I'm a believer in karma and the whole thing.
Sure. I don't know.
Not that my opinion was asked for. But
no, I, of course wanted it. I didn't know you had one because I didn't know you woke up at like 3 p.m.
I've seen the memes. I've seen the memes about me waking up at 3 p.m. And then I've also seen the memes about Max and everything, and I saw the highlight and I saw him saying his thing or whatever, and it's like the number one dude in the world is obviously a lot of times an asshole, and you don't end up being number one in any sport without being an asshole. It's that kind of Kobe Bryant-esque mindset,
Sure.
But
sure.
I don't know. If I'm Max, maybe I think twice about that. If I'm Checo,
you're not doing yourself any favors.
Right, sure. maybe I don't protect as hard next time, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't really know what we're referencing, basically Max Verstappen won the world championship, but he's still racing for shits and gigs, and
the rest of the season.
Sorry,
I said it's the rest of the season. He's just already mathematically won.
Yes, mathematically he's won the world championship, so he's in the bag. But then his teammates racing for second, and rather than let his teammate pass him for an extra 2 points in the championship, which Max Verstappen doesn't need because he already won, Verstappen was just like, nah, I'm gonna keep my 2 points. And now the kind of race for second is a little bit, it honestly isn't that much different. 2 points, they're tied right now. It would have been 292 to 290, but it just have a little bit of an extra cushion next week, and there was just really no point for Max to take those points.
Max theoretically maybe also has an argument that in the long run, him adding another one onto his list of won races is going to count more than Checo coming in second or something like that too. In this year's world
race,
champion,
he came in it was fifth. If it was like he was asking for first place or something, I understand.
Yeah, okay.
But it was like a fifth place. It wasn't like this was for podium position.
Yeah, because it was Russell that actually won, wasn't it?
Yeah, correct. Russell won, which is great. Good for him. Happy for him. I'm actually kind of excited to see Lewis Hamilton not win a race this season. It's gonna be hilarious.
Drive to Survive. They're getting all their
they're
info.
Ready. They're so ready. They're gonna make this juiciest season yet.
All right, I'm shutting up now. Taking another break.
All right. All right, I'm gonna finish on my list quick. Just got out of a screening earlier tonight for a documentary I saw for my class called Bulletproof. It's about
50 Cent.
It is not about 50 Cent. It is about school shootings and like gun laws and whatnot, but not necessarily gun laws. But like it just kind of goes around schools and school districts and like kind of like shows you what schools nowadays are having to do in order to protect their students from active shooters and stuff. And it's kind of sad and traumatizing, and it's as you can imagine, and it's a lot of harrowing images, and kind of doesn't really show anything too graphic, but it kind of just makes you imagine, you use your imagination for a lot of it. And it's like, what if this, what if that, and kind of shows you how like far we've come in this stuff, where like one of the parts that they show is like there's a convention for school security stuff against school shooters, and it's like this bulletproof desk, this bulletproof whiteboard, and it's like people at this like show essentially like trying to sell district administrators on equipment to protect students. And it's just like, that's where we've come to. Like we're selling, classic America, where we have a problem, we're gonna sell the solution. I don't know, it was just kind of wild, especially it also made me very glad I'm no longer in like that side of the school system, because things seem, from what I've seen, it's only gotten kind of more locked down a little bit, and I kind of got the tail end of that my last 2 years of high school, and it only seems like it's gotten worse, which is kind of scary. Yeah, I'm just kind of glad I'm slowly getting out of school system in general, and let alone definitely out of high schools. But also, I say that, but University of Virginia shooting last just the other day, honestly.
Yeah, sad.
That's heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking to hear. So I say all that stuff, but who knows? Maybe I'm more at risk here. But yeah, good documentary. I don't know if it's getting some kind of wide release. It seemed like it was kind of a smaller film, but if you have the chance to see it, it was good and I recommend. And then the last thing I got to was another one of my documentary professors, one of his movies. This one's called Kate Plays Christine. I want to see if it's streaming anywhere because I did enjoy it quite a bit.
Is that the one? Kate, she's playing Christine Chubbuck, right? The one where the newscaster. Yeah, I've.
Yes.
Did you ever see
Have you seen that?
I did not see the documentary. I have seen the movie that's just called Christine, where Rebecca Hall actually plays Christine, as well too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm familiar with the story as well too of Christine Chubbuck. Yeah.
Sure. This one's really interesting.
Because it's about the actress who's playing her in a stage play, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Sorta. So one of the things I've kind of brought up on pod before with this documentary class is like the whole idea is that we're trying to kind of define what a documentary is, and like if you which is generally most people consider it like, oh, it's truth telling and it's journalism and stuff, but it's like most of the time that's not the case. Like it's hard to kind of capture whatever idea you have of whatever the truth is. Like what is that? And so like a lot of times documentaries are honestly just kind of not faking things, but it's not as real as it seems. And like this is more than any other film we've kind of watched this semester, I think one of the best examples of it, because the documentary is about you're right, it's an actress playing kind of preparing herself for the role of Christine Chubbuck in a movie, but you kind of find out halfway through the documentary that like the role she's preparing herself for, that she's kind of torturing herself over because she has to like put herself, or she's trying to put herself in the mindset of someone who would want to commit suicide. So she is kind of like going through it, and you find out halfway through the movie that it's like the movie she's preparing for is like they're the one producing that movie. Like they are making a documentary about an actress in a movie that they are putting
right.
So it's like it's kind of a double fake where it's like they are faking the movie that she's.
Is it station identification time? It is, folks. I'm sorry. Adam's in the middle of his description, and I'm sure we'll get back to it soon here. But Discord is deciding to restart itself, so these things happen. Adam, you were just saying that you were talking about the movie itself and the grand reveal that it was a 2-part kind of bluff on their part. Yeah,
it's kind of a double fake where it's like the documentary isn't really about anything. It's rooted in the story of Christine Chubbuck. So that part is true, but they're making a movie. It's an actress for a movie, but the movie doesn't really exist. They kind of made up the movie, and so they kind of made up both the movie and the documentary in some senses. So it's kind of like, what was the point of it all? Like they weren't really documenting anything. They made up the whole kind of situation to document, which is like, where does that kind of leave you as far as like, what is the truth then of the story and that kind of thing? So very interesting. I quite enjoyed it. It gets a little bit of a heavy hand towards the end, and that much I would really like to talk to my professor about to see how much is, where the truths lie and
that's always the case that's always fascinated me as like a student of film, I think, in some way, and just like what happened with all of that as like a morbid fascination, I would say, overall too. Just because like no one's ever seen that footage really, and it has just been locked away and just is not a thing anymore. And it's just a weird thing that like no one really talks about too, but is like if you talk to people who know about it, they know about it, kind of thing.
Yeah. That's streaming on Apple you can rent it basically on Amazon and Apple's like streaming thing. And it's on Canopy if you have a Canopy account. But yeah, I'd recommend it. Pretty interesting. And Nathaniel, if you want to check it out, I'd be very interested to see your thoughts on
For sure. I recommend you checking out that Rebecca Hall movie as well too. Christine.
Is it just called Christine?
Yes.
All right, I will definitely check that out.
She's also in The Night House movie I was mentioning earlier by David Bruckner.
Yes. Love
Rebecca
Hall's
Hall's lead in that.
Pod favorite, in my opinion. She's up there on my list.
Yeah. And we have her on the pod with do we have Godzilla?
Yeah.
Is she in? Yeah. We have Godzilla vs. Kong, right?
Yes.
She's in that.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Ty, have you gone yet?
No, but I can get through my stuff pretty quick.
All right, cool. Please do.
So obviously I got to the Brazil Grand Prix. Yeah, good race. Had a lot of fun watching it. And there's a dog outside my window, but it's on a leash, so we're good.
And that's weird, folks, because Tyler's on the 3rd floor.
The dog's flying.
He's incredible. I have like a daytime show that I've been watching, and there's a lot of episodes, so I've been really concentrating on that. And then a show that I have talked about on pod, and something that Leah and I have been keeping up with. Got a new season put out on Netflix, and that's Manifest. So that's been what we've been kind of doing at nighttime, like for a little dinner show and stuff like that. So it just keeps getting wilder. So I can't say that I overly recommend it. I can't say it's overly bad, but it's not overly good. But it's all right.
How many seasons are there now?
4.
There's no way you can make that story 4 seasons.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. That just tells me they're making shit up.
Yeah, it gets there. It gets to the point where you're like, what the fuck is happening right now? But you're invested, so you gotta stick it out.
Okay.
My daytime show has been Boruto still, and I'm a psychopath because like when I find something, I watch it. I'll find a way to watch it like on my way to work. I know, don't judge me. I'm driving. Fuck you. I'm a good driver. I find a way to do it like at work. I find a way to do it like in the gym. Like I'm constantly trying to find a way to watch the show if I'm like invested. So Boruto has like over 250 episodes subbed. I started in dubbed and I didn't know that they were offset. I should have known because that's how most animes are. But I've been continuing in English and I've gotten up to like it stopped at like 164 or something like that. So I've stopped. But it makes me want to go watch Naruto. So yeah, I've done like I think it's only been like 3 weeks I've been talking about the show and I've done like 165 episodes. So
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that just tells you where I'm at with anime. Your consumption level of anime and my consumption level of anime are very different.
We are not the same.
Which since I had to stop watching this because I am going to wait for it in English because the voices are too different, and if I'm out of it, it doesn't help me with the story. And I've been thoroughly enjoying Boruto, so I'm gonna stick it out and wait for it. But it led me to find another anime, and there is a second, I guess you'd call it a second season of this, but I didn't know that there was until I found that. So now I want to go rewatch the first season. But it's I've mentioned it on the pod before. It's Durara, and it's more of a drama anime versus like everybody has like superpowers, but there are still like some mythical kind of esque things in there, so it still kind of holds true. But
it's like Vampire Diaries.
I guess in like the same tier, but there are no vampires.
Gotcha.
But there's a Doulahan. Look it up.
Okay.
But
do you spell that?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it's super, super good. I've watched it, I think, 2 times before this. This is going to be my 3rd full rewatch of this. And then I'm going to jump into the 2nd season. So I've been switched over to that. And I can't tell you exactly, but I'm probably already like 15 to 20 episodes in. But I've watched that before. So that one goes by a little bit faster. And then I think that's it, really. I got into some YouTube stuff. SEMA, which is a car show. It's like the biggest car show in like the United States. That happened last week, so I have a lot of YouTubers that were there, had some of their own cars in there, so that's been really fun to catch up on. And other than that, that's pretty much it.
Cool. Well, I'm not gonna waste any time. Let's get into the review segment. Nathaniel, introduce it for me, please.
What up, folks? If you have not listened in a long time, or maybe you've just forgotten, the way the Back Row Banter review segment works, it is split into two sections. Excuse me. There's the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then the non-spoiler section, we will go through the movie itself, go through its IMDb page, see where it ranks on our IMDb page list, and see who has written it, directed it, acted in it, all that good stuff. And then we'll go around the squadron, see if we do recommend this movie. It's got to be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. And then in the spoiler section, we'll go over any big spoilers, any big plot twists, or our deeper thoughts itself. But if you want to have it non-spoiled for you, come back at the end of our list and see where it ranks up on our Entropy list, which is our big list of everything we've watched on the podcast ranked. I said list too many times, but we're going to brush over that. Adam, tell me about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
I would love to. Less lists involved here in the IMDb review, but this is a new movie, of course, rated PG-13 with a runtime, and yes, I am saying this correctly, 2 hours and 41 minutes with an IMDb rating of 7.4 out of 10, directed by Ryan Coogler and written by Ryan Coogler and Joe Robert Cole. Starring, of course, Latita Wright, Lupita Nyong'o, Denai Guerrera, Winston Duke, returning to the pod, Angela Bassett, Tenoch Huerta, Martin Freeman, and Dominique Thorne. I think I'll stop there, as there's kind of a lot of secondary characters. Those are our main cast, though. Those 8 or so. Yeah. All right. The IMDb summary reads as follows. The people of Wakanda fight to protect their home from intervening world powers as they mourn the death of King T'Challa. Yeah, pretty good.
Doesn't spoil anything, though. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Very bland, but
we've had much worse.
Yeah, been worse.
We've had much worse summaries on the show, so I'll take that one. To fill in the blanks for you that the IMDb summary may have left. If you've seen Black Panther 1, or any Marvel movie really, since in a while, King T'Challa has passed. As we know, Chadwick Boseman has also passed. It seems kind of they made Chadwick Boseman's death kind of like mirrors T'Challa's death.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Where it's like, where it was some kind of illness that they couldn't cure, and he didn't tell a lot of people, which I think is an interesting choice, which I'm totally okay with. But so King T'Challa's gone, which means the Black Panther's gone, and if you've seen the first Black Panther, it's kind of hard to get another one. They kind of had a forest fire for reasons I won't spoil, and all of their vibranium-rich plants are gone. But so they're kind of in a crisis mode. Meanwhile, there's some geopolitics at play, which is very mature of the MCU. But they are. Wakanda's not seen in a very high lights nowadays across the world. We'll say that, and so it's kind of the interplay of that, as well as another nation that comes in. I won't spoil who, and it's their conflict, and the kind of the rise of who may or may not take the next the Black Panther. What's the word I'm looking for? Mantle. That's right? Yeah.
That'll work.
Pick up the mantle. I think that's how it goes. We're running pretty long on time here, so we'll make the non-spoiler thoughts pretty quick so we can get into spoilers and have more time for that. I personally thought this movie was pretty okay. It was a little underwhelming in a lot of places, just considering like how good the first Black Panther was and kind of the expectations we had for something that might follow that. And it just wasn't as special as I was hoping. And, I think that's just a symptom of a lot of things. I think at this point, I feel like we keep seeing the same MCU story repackaged and resold to us. And this has a lot of those same footprints, and it does some things differently, and it's not nearly as kind of like dry in that sense as some of the other MCU films we've seen recently are. But the other thing is I would really have loved to see what the script was before Chadwick Boseman passed, because I think that was probably a much better film than it ended up being, and it seems like Ryan Coogler was really not I don't know what the word I'm looking for. He didn't really want to rewrite the script for more than one reason, but it seemed like he was really content with what he had, and the unfortunate reality was that he had to rewrite it for something or to something. And I would like to see what that original script is, because I'm sure that was probably more special than what we got, and he kind of had to repair things on the fly a little bit. So, but overall, am I recommend? Yeah, I think I would say yes. If you like the Marvel movies, if you like superhero movies, this has been one of the better ones overall as of late. But it's nothing mind blowing, which is kind of, I was hoping this would kind of be a step in a better direction for the MCU, or maybe it gets me back on board a little bit, and it just wasn't that. I know I said I'd keep that brief. That was longer than I wanted. So someone else go. Daniel.
Okay. Yeah, this is a difficult one, I guess, to kind of review, I feel like, for me, just because we do know so much of what has gone on in the making of it, around it, and throughout it, which I think does color some of my opinions on it as well, too.
Sure.
Things I liked. I liked that it felt like it was, for the first time in a little while being back in the Marvel universe, I felt like it was moving plot along, or like it was kind of like we were back in there with characters we had known before and had come across before. They didn't have to do too much of the introducing new characters or setting up for other films or that kind of thing. They were left free to kind of tell their story a little bit more than I think some of the other Marvel movies we've seen recently, and that was really good. Coogler, I think, is one of the greats at stuffing his movie with symbolism and themes and really making it from a place of artwork and thought and creativity and kind of making sure that everything flows together. His movies are always kind of a really strong vision, I will say, as well too. I think, and without going into spoilers as much as possible, that if you look at this movie, you can trace the original script fairly easily, or fairly maybe not the easily is the word.
Competently.
Yeah, you can. I think you can figure out where this thing was originally supposed to go and some of the changes they've had to make and that kind of thing. And I think once you kind of break it up into that breakdown, and obviously I'm not privy to what it really was or anything like that, but my reading on it in terms of where you can see what those additions and what those kind of rewrites might have been does break it down fairly easily. So I'll go more into that in spoilers. But given an impossible task, I thought they did a pretty admirable job of trying to move this thing forward and make something that's functional and make something that still works within the overall Marvel universe. But I think I was a little bit disappointed as well too. I think I'm still a little recommend, but I don't know if that's all to do with the movie and its own merits, and more just like everything going on around it too. So, yeah, that's where I'll leave that there. Blake, what did you think?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I'm definitely the lowest on the totem here of like Marvel, and kind of continue watching superhero films and whatnot. To keep it short, I would say this is the best film Marvel's given us since Spider-Man: No Way Home. And that's my short response.
That's damn valid.
Yeah. So that's what I got. I'd recommend it off that. Ty?
Oh, that's all. Okay.
I have a couple gripes as far as like length was a little hard for me.
For sure.
Yeah.
It just some of it felt like it could have been condensed a little bit, and then I'm gonna try to not let kind of like what we already know on like the makings of this affect me, because it's fair, but it's also not. So I'm gonna try and keep that mindset out. But there were a couple little things that like I think are noticeable on how they were trying to cover something up, and I was like, well, that's just stupid. Like you could have done it a different way, or you could have just taken that out. And so there were a couple things like that. But other than that, I think I'm a recommend for sure. I don't think this is a bad movie by any means. I think it's a relatively good movie for sure, and I think it's something that'll probably grow on you the more you watch it. So yeah, I'm a recommend.
Cool. So 4 recommends.
I believe so.
Awesome. Well, we're going to go ahead and head into spoilers. So if you've not seen Black Panther Wakanda Forever, go ahead, check the episode description where I've left a timestamp you can jump to where you'll be taken to the ranking of the movie upon our Entropy list. Spoiler time. Nathaniel's not there. Do. Oh, was that good?
I don't know. I think between both of us, it was pretty spot on.
Yeah, it was pretty spot on. You know it's spoiler time. We don't need the sound. The sound Nathaniel likes, and I just let him do it. I just let him do it because it makes him happy, and he gets to use the mixer that he paid for. So I'm not too upset about it. He could do whatever he wants. Spoilers though. Man, where to begin? This movie, I was like trying so hard to like. Like I was trying hard to like really like it, but and it's not that it like there wasn't anything that turned me off necessarily. It's just like there wasn't anything for me to grab onto too much. Is like I wanted to ride the coaster, but it didn't take me as high as I wanted to go.
Okay, so then let me ask you that. Let me ask you this then. Is that because of the expectations you had with this film being Black Panther 2, quote unquote? Or I guess external factors, right? So like I guess like kind of like to my point, just looking at this, like I think this movie is significantly better than anything else they've given us since Spider-Man. Shang-Chi's good, I'll give you that. But I mean, I'm picking this over, I don't know, what are the other 2 films they gave us, I think. And then yeah.
Thor.
And yeah, Eternals, Thor, Black Widow. And then I even think this is better than Shang-Chi, to be honest with you.
Doctor Strange 2 would be the other one.
Yeah. I did like that a little bit, but I think I would put this above that too, just kind of staying in that statement. So is that because of the expectations you had, Adam, or you think that it's just not a good film?
I think a bit of both. I think my expectations were maybe a little bit too high, and it was hard to meet those. And also, it's just like Ryan Coogler is
good
I
director.
consider a great director, and he showed up. He showed up in this one. Like he did as much as he could, and you could tell. Like there was a lot that I really did like from his side of things as far as the directing goes, and set pieces and costume and whatnot. Like all that put together that he kind of had that vision for. I really, really enjoyed, and there's a lot of good editing choices too. So he definitely showed up, but I think, I don't know, there's only so much he could do for me, because it just feels like we keep seeing the same story over and over again, and I want them to like shock me. I want that Infinity War gut punch at the end, or the fist bumping or pumping that you got at the end of Endgame. Like I'm not saying like every single movie has to deliver that, but I want those kind of sprinkled in here and there with the MCU, where I want to be kind of surprised, or I want something fresh like Winter Soldier. And it just feels like MCU as a whole has gotten really, really stale as far as the formula for these movies go. And I was hoping this would be a departure from that, and I kept trying to like see the sides of where it might be a departure from that, but it just wasn't there. And it just definitely felt like something I'd seen before to an extent. But you know, it's still like a good and enjoyable film. But to answer your question, I think it might have been my expectations, but I don't think it would. That's the entire reason.
Sure.
Tyler, did you go?
Oh well, we're kind of like in spoilers now.
Oh
so,
shit, my bad.
Yeah,
My bad.
you were gone, so we made our own spoiler noise. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it was good.
Good
So
for the
yeah,
longest
we're
lines.
kind of in spoilers, but I guess kind of like my main little points that I want to point out as far as like I guess kind of like my pros and cons. I think this was at least a pretty good like tribute to Chad.
Sure.
So that got me kind of emotionally tied to this. So I thought that was pretty good. Namor is a very driven villain in this. He does a really good job.
Yep.
Yeah.
They gave him a purpose. They gave him a really good kind of backstory as to why he's kind of doing this. He's very motivated in his actions, and he's believable. And they do a pretty good job with him. So I was excited about that because anytime you go underwater, you can kind of get an Aquaman effect, and I'm glad that they didn't quite use that same effect because this does look better in my opinion. So I think they did a really good job with his character and kind of the whole water kind of features and everything like that.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I no, I would agree with you there. Like I would say kind of like that was one of my thoughts too going off this compared to Aquaman. Obviously Aquaman being like the much more bigger vibrant world underwater. I did think they did a good job with how we were introduced to the Nemorians or Atlanteans or underwater folk. And like the difference being in that it was shot much more kind of that realistic, like what you see from when submarines go underwater and that kind of thing.
Sure.
And I thought that was a good point of difference between obviously like the DC and MCU and all that good stuff. But I thought the world itself, once they got down there, was a little bit of the Marvel grayscale. We've seen this before CGI world thing, but I thought overall it was still a really, really cool design and direction for the character. Because Namor's a tricky character to
100%.
bring from the comics to the screen. You got all this history, and they've never really known what to do with him, and he's been retconned a million times. So all the changes they made with that and that kind of thing, I thought were really cool and really inspired.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I was pleased from that perspective. But go ahead, Tyler, finish your thoughts.
Yeah, no, and then I will definitely agree with all that. I think the only other thing I want to touch on as far as like my biggest pros were, aside from Ironheart, I don't know the actress's name, so I apologize. But I felt like everybody was like, it felt like everybody was really like 110% giving it like their all. And I just didn't really get it from her. So that was kind of like my pro as far as like everybody else in the cast. I felt like they were giving 110. For some odd reason, I just couldn't connect with her. And I think that's probably a little bit part of because I know that character is obviously supposed to be a young Avenger for Iron Man's replacement. And I just don't think that there's little things like she's supposed to be a genius and she's got a fucking like just laser beam hanging off her hand. Tony Stark can obviously figure out how to fucking make that go in and out with nanobots, and I just don't. It's a little frustrating. You would think that with the Wakandans' help, she would be a little bit further progressed in that suit, and so there's little things that like bother me like that, and just the overall costume design for her kind of suck. But but yeah, overall those are like my biggest pros. Timeline I already kind of pointed out was a con. Everything kind of felt it was just like spread a little bit too thin. The action that was in here was pretty good, but there wasn't a lot, and I think I wanted a little bit more. Because Black Panther is like I like seeing that fucking hand-to-hand combat. It's so like fluid, and when Chadwick was doing it, like it was so good. And it's just like a nasty flow when he fights. And I wanted to see a little bit more of that. You get a little bit of it, but I wanted to see more of it from Shuri. And then for some odd reason, this feels like it's just a little bit separated from the MCU.
Sure.
I don't know if anybody else feels like that. I feel like they're obviously trying to set up Young Avengers stuff.
Yeah.
Which I get, but it feels, if this is where I feel like I'm starting to get a lot more separation.
Yeah, I would say I was kind of happy with the tone it took, or the tone it struck, and kind of the balance it had outside of the MCU, but like only because I think that felt to me more like old school Marvel, previous phase kind of stuff, rather than what we've been experiencing so far, where everything is so tied in to one another, and like you got characters crossing over all over the place kind of thing. If that completes your thoughts, Tyler, I'm going to go into my thing real quick. Referencing earlier what I was saying about like the writing side of things, I think for the main plot beats of this story, if you take Shuri out and swap her for Chadwick's role, and then if you take Riri Williams out and replace her with Shuri and go with that as quote unquote the original script, that pretty much gives you the skeleton of what this was ahead of time, where you instead have the king of Wakanda versus the king of Atlantis, or what is it, Atlakan or whatever like that, and
Talokan,
yeah,
Talokan or Talakan.
Yeah, so the geopolitical, that side of the script doesn't really change. Just instead you have the T'Challa character meeting up with Namor and all of that kind of stuff, and going through that role, and instead it becomes this kind of thing of where the first film was this kind of examination of the black culture in like America and what that is and how that interplays and what that means for having a superhero. Now it's another minority culture and how that interacts with that kind of thing. And that was, I feel like, the original scope of where this film was going. And then obviously with Chadwick's passing, they had to shift that around a little bit. So the Shuri character stepped into that role, and then the Riri Williams character stepped into the kind of the Shuri role from what we watched in the first film. Because I think if you watch that first film and this one back to back, tonally they are very, very different from one another now. And I think that's understandable considering what has happened and what has gone on in real life. But they are almost just emotionally completely different films from one another. And I think that with that in mind, you can look at this and see how the film was trying to balance all these other characters that are going on within it, between, Shuri, Ramonda, the mom, Okoye, and M'Baku and stuff like that. And my main takeaway when I first started watching this again was just, holy shit, this is what Disney Plus should have been doing the entire time. Like, I care about these characters so much and enjoy them so much, and now I feel like they've been hidden from me for the last 4 years kind of thing, when I could have been having them introduced into those Disney Plus shows and that kind of thing. And now it's like I want more from those characters. As a viewer, I'm seeing them again, and I want to know what M'Baku's been up to. I want to know what Okoye's been. They have these kind of alternate storylines for them in the background going on too, but I want to know more about those. And it's like I could have taken 2 Disney Plus shows off of just the Wakanda and what's going on over there.
Especially because the TV shows feel like they're just concentrating on past Avengers and like their backstories, when like we're never gonna see that shit again.
Right.
Like that stuff's irrelevant.
Right. And
whereas like if you would have concentrated on the stuff that's going to play into this next phase,
exactly,
I'd appreciate what I was getting now.
Exactly.
Way more.
Instead it's been this whole kind of, well, we're building to the Young Avengers and all, or the Thunderbolts and all that kind of stuff too. And like now that just feels on the nose too, where we have this we have Riri Williams, we have obviously, in big spoilers, the next T'Challa to talk about as well too, and Hulk's got a kid. Spoilers for She-Hulk. Fucking like Thor's got a kid now too, and then you have all of the other ones that have already been introduced in form of Patriot and new Black Widow and all that kind of stuff. So we're building towards all of that kind of thing, but it's just at the sacrifice of what too, and that's part of my question. And I think I think that's where, if you want to break this movie down, you have the Coogler Chadwick, I think, storyline with the with Namor and his kind of stuff, and then you have what the film became afterwards, where it was just kind of this, you know, what do we do without Chadwick? And then you have the Marvel requirements, which I feel like are the Riri character, the the Everett Ross and Valentina de LaFontaine or whatever, which just feels so out of place in the movie and feel like they could be cut completely and not really miss that much, in my opinion. I think I'll leave it there for my kind of deeper thoughts on this. The last thing I'll say is that I was a bit disappointed in the action overall. I've seen Creed. I've seen other movies by Ryan Coogler. I think generally he has a better eye for action. I would probably chalk that up to, as we know, how the Marvel movies function, where they create the action scenes beforehand and then kind of build other things around it. I think Angela Bassett is killing it in this movie. She's fucking incredible. Awesome. In this, I think Winston Duke as M'Baku, I want more of him. He's incredible as well too. I think Letitia Wright does a great job as Shuri. I have a hard time separating that from like everything we know about what's going on outside of all of that as well too.
Yeah.
But who knows? I hope she can kind of get that all taken care of and whatever, and we can move on from that. And I still am excited to know where they go next with what's going on in the storyline and everything like that. I thought the recasting and everything or retooling of Namor was excellent. I really thought they did an awesome job with that. And yeah, I still am on board. I am overall positive on this movie. It's just I don't know if I'm disappointed or anything like that. I guess I feel like I appreciate how difficult it is. And like I feel like the fact that we got something this good out of it is still something to be impressed by.
Definitely, because this with everything that it went through could have turned out so much worse than it did. That I guess we should maybe be a little bit more appreciative.
Yeah, it's a tough one to review.
What we got, it is because there's also like it's just hard to point to one thing that's inherently not there or inherently not working, because like theoretically on paper, like I do really like this movie, at least what it's trying to do. And I said I wanted new stuff earlier, and like there is some cool concept here. I do really like what you said, what they did with Namor and the Wakanda tribe or city, whatever you want to kind of call them, but then encountering like a similar nation state that has like kind of the exact same situation going on with them, but rather than kind of working together in the beginning, they're enemies because they have kind of conflicting interests with their shared resources.
And the siren call was dope. That was one of the coolest things.
Was cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
That was really, really neat. I thought like a lot of the stuff they did with the Submariner and his people were really, really neat, and again show that kind of Marvel creativity. Yeah. I really enjoyed that.
They were very spot on with like the like Latino culture side of things on that. Like they caught like a huge wave of Hispanics that went out and like started watching this movie because they did such a good job. It was kind of like what Black Panther did for the African American community when that first came out. There's a lot of people that are now looking at that side of things that are on the Hispanic heritage side of things. So they did a really good job with representing them too.
Yeah, for kind of context on that, my parents went and saw this movie together Friday night.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's just like the context of what this brings just to the African American community and like a superhero film. People are of any age, right? We'll be like, hey, I'll go watch this.
Yeah.
And then also it helps that the first one was actually just a really good film in general.
Facts.
Right. So then like now for the second one, people will definitely gear up and jump into it. So that was really interesting to see that my parents were like, yeah, we went and saw that on Friday night. So
I think Disney's kicking themselves that they killed off Michael B. Jordan's character in the first one.
Yeah, you think?
I totally called it. He was coming back too.
Dude,
and I don't know if you guys touched on that because I stepped off mic for a minute, but that was a pleasant. Saw him back in there, and I was like, all right, I'm kind of in a little bit. You know what I mean?
I just wanted more of them.
There was enough in this movie that pushed it over the line for me into the recommend, but it very easily could have gone into the non-recommend.
Sure.
It could have.
Fair.
Maybe young T'Challa grows up to look strikingly like Michael B. Jordan.
Just recycle that character. Just like
no, it's T'Challa. I don't know what you're talking about. People are stupid. They'll fall for it.
Have we talked enough?
I
know we talked a lot beforehand too. It's always
we are just really running long on time. So and as we say, this is kind of like an interesting one to go over. The one thing can you guys tell me why in that bridge sequence when I forgot her name already, but Denai Guerrero's character, what's her name?
Okoye.
Thank you. She stabs those people, and then they just don't die. But then it's never really explained why they can heal themselves.
Yeah,
and then
I was wondering that too.
And then later she tosses like the big dude off the boat, and he's like actually dead, even though the water is where he thrives.
Yeah, cut the whole boat sequence. The boat sucks.
The boat did suck.
It needs
so anticlimactic.
They need a better boat, or like Wakanda needs a cooler boat. Like, I'm sorry, that's just a big. That was just a big ship. But like that. But then the Namor Shuri fight I thought was awesome during that bit. Like that was really really cool.
That was cool.
And the I do want to talk about the Iron Man suits for Okoye and everyone as well too. Like, don't pretty smart filmmaking. Don't have the character say that the suit is ugly, and then not change anything about the suit for later.
Right.
When you have to give it to the character, because you've already told the audience that it's ugly. Like that's just
it's Abe Sapien.
It's so weird, man. Like those things.
She built Abe Sapien.
Those did not work. And I know they're from the comics where they're awesome and they're cool and everything. But yeah, like that's the thing where I was like, that should have been a Disney Plus show. That would have been. I would have been so much more in on that than something else. But anyways, where was my point with all this? Was I just listing things I didn't like?
I think so.
Whatever. I'll shut up now. What Adam was saying. Oh no, you were talking about the blue people. You were talking about the.
Go ahead, Blake. I've talked a lot.
They were talking about the Atlanteans and why they could heal. I just assumed that was they were faking it at that point, and then they weren't actually that injured, and then they came back later on.
Sure.
Other than that, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
She
stabs him pretty good.
That's how I'm no prizing that.
I'll take that route, but to each his own.
Oh wow.
Yeah, one thing I was gonna say, just kind of on the Namor character and the villain, it was really interesting because like I was trying to figure out myself too. It's like, okay, well he's able to like breathe like air, right, like outside of the water, where everybody else had those masks on, and then like they finally put it together, and it's just like, oh, he's an amphibian. He breathes through having his water, like breathes through having like his skin moisturized. So that was just like really funny to me. Like when I put that together, it's like, yeah, it's just like as any like frog or whatever. Like if they're just not in the water for a period of time, they're just gonna be fried.
They get dried out.
And they basically just like did that within 10 minutes of figuring it out. So yeah, that was something I just found really funny.
It is cool that they are, or that he is aware, but it's cool that MCU is aware that he is a mutant too, which is something I thought was pretty cool that they had acknowledged.
Yeah, I think he said that himself, right? Didn't he say like I was a mutant? Yeah, that was cool. I caught that. That was cool.
I did go see this with Leah, so I do have to put her input in here real quick. She did like it overall. She cried twice, to be exact. And her favorite part is the rolling credits with the new Rihanna song in it. So
is that the second time she cried?
She cried at the end, but it wasn't because of the song. It was because she learned that T'Challa has a kid named T'Challa.
That is my other takeaway from this, is that Marvel cannot stop killing women.
Oh.
I think it's every movie in the MCU.
We gotta clip that out of context.
I'm telling you, man.
Number 3.
Every movie in this phase, it's like Aunt May and Spider-Man, Scarlet Witch and whatever, Black Widow, she's already dead. This one, they kill the mom. They cannot stop. They will not stop. They are out there. No woman in the MCU is safe, folks.
Yeah.
I need a thesis paper on this, Nathaniel.
I think it's fucked up at this point, to be honest with you. Like,
low-key kind of is.
Like,
when you put it like that.
It's been like every movie that they've killed off a lady. Like, you don't have that many to begin with. Stop killing off the ones you do have.
That's true.
Rant over.
Well, on the bright side, they gave us new Rihanna music first time in like 7 years. So,
and it's a good song.
Yeah, I'll take it, man.
I actually like it.
And I think they actually referenced Fenty makeup, like in the movie too. Yeah, it's like that was kind of
the
like
wrong
a funny
shade.
thing.
It's the wrong shade.
Yeah, she's like, no, Fenty 42 or whatever she said. So
yeah,
that was funny to have that, and then also have like Rihanna on the soundtrack.
Is that Rihanna's makeup line?
It is. Yeah.
That's a joke that went way over my head.
It's also unisex, so I don't use the makeup, but Leah does put like masks on my face, and so shout out Rihanna.
They're Fenty.
Masks.
Yeah.
Rihanna.
We got that. She's got like the whole facial carrier of Fenty.
Yeah.
All right, let's rank it. Yeah.
Welcome
back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're gonna go ahead and rank Black Panther: Wakanda Forever up upon the Entropy list. For those of you who do not know, the Entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of every movie we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. This is essentially how we rate our movies, rather than do it out of 5 stars, out of 10, whatever it is. We throw up all the movies we review on a list and see how they compare to one another. If you'd like to reference the Entropy list for yourself, you could do so by checking the episode description, where it is linked to my Letterboxd. Speaking of Letterboxd, I should probably bring that up, yeah?
Yeah, let me pull up the list. So I just went to your profile, see what we're looking at. This movie's way too high.
This movie?
Maybe even ranked it yet.
No, Doctor Strange and Shang-Chi being 39 and 40 is criminal.
Bro, look at Spider-Man at fucking 25.
That's also
damn right.
Well.
Damn right it is. National Treasure.
I think this sits up kind of like that high though. Not 25, but like I think that Doctor Strange should be lower for sure.
For sure, yeah.
Shang-Chi I think should be a little bit lower, but I still like Shang-Chi a lot.
There's no way either of those
is forgotten.
Deadpool. There's no.
I was gonna say, dude, Deadpool's fucking gold, and Suicide Squad was fucking awesome for what it was.
Yeah, I agree.
But I would still flop Deadpool and Suicide Squad. So either way, I'm going to put this at like 43. I think I'm at 43.
Okay, keep the little superhero bunch going.
Yeah, I think so. Because it is right. It's very close. I think I would do. Like I said, this movie. I think after you watch it a couple times, it'll grow on you a little bit. So, Pig's like the other one in there.
Top Gun Maverick and Bullet Train. You're killing me, dog.
Kill Bill. You got it over Kill Bill Volume 2.
I think those other superhero movies are just too high as in general.
They are. They're skewing the data, fellas.
They are
skewing the data.
Because I want to.
All right, you're right. I've been convinced. I don't want to. It's not gonna go. I'm not gonna like make this thing plummet though, because
for sure, it's not bad. I agree.
No, I do. I think it has more redeeming qualities that
just
kind of haven't been
down
seen in the first watch.
Every time I scroll down, I go, I can't put it above that movie. I can't put it above that movie.
Yeah, you have to like draw kind of a line, right?
I'm gonna put this right at 50.
Okay.
Nah, 49. 49. Below Tokyo Drift. Above Dr. Sleep.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it.
Go ahead.
I got mine. I'm gonna put it at 46. Below Top Gun Maverick, above Bullet Train, with the proviso that we really should change Doctor Strange and Shang-Chi at some point.
Yeah, man, that's
Those are gross sitting up there, fellas. I'm not gonna lie.
The list is the law.
True.
We already said we have to end
Adam?
the podcast before we can adjust
you
the
thinking?
entropy list. So if this is your last episode, Nathaniel,
True.
I am unfortunately like lower than I want to be, but also I can't go any lower. I'll put it at 52, below Weathering with You and above Paid in Full. Weathering with You is the line in the sand.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the highest on this film either, but I feel like kind of low key shitting on this thing right now.
It should be higher. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's skewed, but
Oh my god! Especially because I
like-
went on record saying this is the best thing. I still think it's the best thing Marvel's given us since Spider-Man. But then I just think we have Doctor
don't
Strange
know
and Shang-Chi
though.
way
Doctor
too high.
Strange
though,
was
dude.
was fun and
Way too high.
unique, and Shang-Chi was fun and unique. Those and this to me was a little bit more cookie cutter than those. I'm not saying your opinion's like bad.
Yeah. No, I
Because
hear you.
I see where you're coming from, and I agree this is one of the better Marvel movies we've gotten since Endgame. But I think if there were two to go above this one, it is Shang-Chi and it is Doctor Strange.
Yeah. This is tough because I want to put it above those two, but then just like on the list, like there's no way those two shouldn't even be in those spots. So then
They
I kind of
shouldn't.
have to like just like play around and see where things could go. I mean, it hurts me, right? So like just looking at this, I think Ty was at 49 or something. Heard a few rumblings of that. I think Nathaniel, or is it Adam, had it at 52.
Yep.
Or so. So like I'm kind of looking at that too. And then I just look at like Blade and Paid in Full. And like those are two movies that I genuinely love. Like I watch those movies any day of the week. And I just don't like this movie as much as that. So I mean, I think I'll split the difference. I like it more than Nightmare Alley. I'll put it below District 9, above Nightmare Alley. So I'll go
So 54.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that all of ours?
Yeah.
I was 54. I was 52.
That's got an average of what?
Nathaniel, you were 46. You said.
Yes.
And I was 49.
49. That's going to give us an average of 50.25, meaning we would have to tie break it with Power of the Dog unless we want to manually tie break, which I would argue. I personally like Power of the Dog
IMDb.
more.
Stick with the rules, fellas.
No, we decided the rules are what do we want them to be. I'd rather tie break ourselves
I vote
than
IMDb.
IMDb.
Just
IMDb
because
should
I've
IMDb
lost
should
battles
be.
to IMDb, fellas. That I should not have lost.
IMDb is only there. Should only be there for when we can't tie break them amongst ourselves.
I'm cool with either way, but I think either way that Black Panther comes out on top.
Okay.
I
So you
don't
want
know if
Black
I even
Panther on top?
remember what the Power of the Dog was about. So just off that,
Yeah.
let's go ahead. And
I'll
do
put it
Black
over.
Panther.
I'll put Black Panther over. Power of
All
the
right,
Dog.
I'll put it over as well.
Power of the Dog is a 6.8.
Yes, it is. So all right, we manually override. So there we go. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever at number 50 on the entropy list, which we keep saying is low. We have 124 movies on the list now, and it's in the upper, 40%.
It's in the top
And
percentile.
It is in a percentile. I don't know if it's.
I mean, right now, if we're cutting it, and even into thirds, you're still in the.
You're in the top third, I think. I don't know how that math works out. Someone check that. But regardless, we have a lot of good movies above it, so I can't be too mad. You shouldn't be too mad. Anyway, let's get on out of here. Next week's review, guys. Do we want to do the menu, or do we just want to do American Psycho? My vote is American Psycho, but we can do the
American Psycho. I've assessed the situation and I'm leaving.
I know.
My favorite line from that movie.
I need to
Anyone-
return some
anyone else?
videotapes. But
I'm down for whatever.
Yeah. Can we
If I
please
get
do American Psycho?
if I get worked out of the majority, I'm totally fine with that. I'm not gonna make a fuss about it.
I
But
do-
you guys know me. I'm always whatever the newest is wins.
I do
Get a
genuinely
reservation at Dorsey is now, you fucking dickhead.
I do genuinely want to see the menu, but I want to talk about American Psycho. So
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, because I think we have the schedule figured out, and I don't know if we can fit in American Psycho anytime soon. Let me check the schedule actually. Yeah, that would be tough. That would be tough to fit it in. So it's either now or never on American Psycho. How much do we want it? Seems like we want it a lot.
American Psycho.
All right, third time's a charm. American Psycho will be our review for next week. It's still streaming on HBO Max, as far as I know. So if you haven't watched it the 2 other times we told you to watch it, go ahead and watch it this time around, and then join us for a review next week. We got a whole rigmarole that I think we might breeze through. We'll do a 5-star review later. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do a 5-star review next week. Emails, we do not have any emails. I checked that earlier. So that means your only responsibility this week, listener, is to share the podcast. I guess that's your responsibility every week. Share the podcast. Share with a friend, a family member, a member of a rival nation, state, where your 2 rulers with superhuman abilities are duking it out. I don't really know where to go with that. All that stuff. Follow us on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, and our YouTube is just Back Row Banter. And then send us an email if you'd like to. If you feel so inclined, you can do so at backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. BlakeHolder, where can the people find you at, my man?
Letterboxd, BlakeHolder. I'll be on there, log some things, putting some reviews. PlayStation, Xbox, Mr. Rodicles. I am playing God of War. Great game. I highly recommend. If you're looking for anything cinematic, please go play it. And it probably has the best or the most accurate representation of Thor we have on screen, video games, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, check it out. Popcorn Tie.
Twitch.tv/ultrabajo87 and Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd are all Tyler Vidalis via DLES. Nathaniel?
You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at NSKingrick. You can find me on Instagram at NathanielG92. Sandpiper Tapes is my other podcast. Also, shout out Kamaru Usman, former welterweight champion of the world and pound for pound #1 ranked UFC fighter, showing up in Black Panther 2 this weekend. He was the Navy tribe gentleman on there as well too. So always good to see those MMA fighters break into the big screen. I think we had Francis Ngannou in Fast 9, and now we got Kamaru in Black Panther 2. So we're making it up, folks.
Fast 9, what a movie.
True.
What a film. What a cinematic
what cinema,
experience. Yeah, pure cinema.
Adam, take us home.
You can find me on Twitter at Aish24, on Twitch at twitch.tv/Aish, and on Letterboxd. I'm just Aish there. I got the tag on that one. It was a good snag on my part. I think that'll do it for episode 125 of Back Row Banter, and even 25 or a quarter of a way to 200. Isn't that crazy? That's what you guys say. It's crazy. I think it's crazy.
I was drinking water. It's the craziest, man.
Thank you all for joining us for this very special episode of 125. There'll never be another episode 125 of Back Row Banter. It's just how it works. Join us next week for our review of American Psycho. 3rd time's a charm, and we'll BRB.
Be excellent to each other. Be excellent to each other, everyone, and we will BRB.
Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you and anything you help us do to grow, because we want to grow, because we like doing this for you and ourselves. And just be good to one another, spread love, and RIP Chadwick Boseman, and we'll BRB.
Matt, thanks for listening. Thanks for the support as always. We appreciate it. We wouldn't be able to continue this podcast if it wasn't for you listening. Kind of double down on what Ty said. RP Chadwick Boseman, excuse me. And we'll BRB.
ready for another lesson?
So a little pre-pod banter for you. Our experience, Waz nearly got in a fight.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Did you say a bar experience?
At our Black Panther too, Wakanda Forever experience.
Wait a minute, hang on here. I'm
Sounds
gonna need some
immersive.
details. Yeah.
So I mean, we're sitting there, we're watching the movie. It's a packed theater. We're in the Dolby Theater, obviously.
Is this release night? So is this Thursday
This
night?
is Sunday night. Our typical movie 6:45
Okay.
show. You know, we
Yeah,
typically
I got
go
you.
after
I got
work. So it's me, Joe, Waz, and Bobby John.
Okay.
And
John, everyone knows Papa John.
yeah,
Yep.
and there's the whole family in the row in front of us, basically, like whole group that was there together. And you know, it's a big movie, and there's a big like emotional scene. This dude's just talking through the whole thing, and just
Waz was telling me about this.
yeah,
Talking like obnoxiously loud.
loud enough that the whole theater could hear. Not like you like whisper
Okay,
over to your buddy, like, oh yeah, like, you know, someone goes to the bathroom, you catch them up on what's going on or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
like
yeah.
like just like out loud, obnoxious, whole theater kind of talking. And so he's just like, dude, shut up. And after like shushing him twice in the movie already earlier or whatever, and then immediately it was just, oh, you're a bitch. Who said that? You're a bitch. And we were just like,
Sure, right.
All right.
The typical theater response.
yeah. And then so you see like the entire rows in front of us heads like move forward and like look over at the guy and shush him. And so then the rest of the movie kind of plays out, and then, you know, Marvel movie. So we all know there's an end credit scene. So the whole theater's sitting there waiting for the end credits to come out. And then as soon as it ends, he pops back up. Hey, which one of you all said that? You're a bitch. I just want to let you know you're a bitch. And could not tell us that we were bitches more, you know, fast enough and more. And then like starts trying to like climb over the seats to get into our row and come confront us. And like, because he can't figure out which one of us was told him to shut up. And then was telling us, you can't tell me to shut up. You know, you don't dictate who I am. Then his grandmother was there, and she was yelling at him to sit down. And he was telling her to like shut up, and she doesn't tell him how to run his life. And he was swearing on his daughter that, you know, we're a bunch of bitches. And so like we're sitting there, and I'm doing the mental math. I'm like, Waz a big guy. He's good. Yeah. Joe, I can't count on Joe. I'm sorry. I was like, if I'm all right, I'll be okay. But at least I got Bobby John to the right of me, who's an actual police officer, and I'm just like, all right, I'm sitting on him in the back pocket here, and I'm just gonna move out of the way if this guy clears the seat in front of me, kind of thing. Yeah. But and then it's just, of course, it's during the end credit scene, so everyone's quiet, and it's just this dude shouting at us in the middle of the theater, and no one else can hear what's actually going on in the end credit scene. So yeah.
Oh man.
That was it.
Yeah.
Then his family kind of walked him out. Yeah. Big thing is that we're all bitches, and
that's the key takeaway.
Yeah. But yeah,
I mean, his math checks out.
From where I'm standing, I that's why I couldn't say anything really, because from where I was sitting, you know, Waz is a bitch for telling him to shut up in the movie.
I mean, if you're the one telling people to be quiet in a movie, you're the bitch.
Especially if after you're told to be quiet, you just fly off the handle 30 minutes later after, you know, the movie's over and you've had time to stew on it, I guess. I hope it just ruined his theater experience. I hope the last 45 minutes he was just sitting there angry,
seething in anger.
Yeah. And then I hope when he get home, his grandma beat the shit out of him. But you know,
100%.
How
that's
old
just
do you think
me.
this guy was?
Oh man, like
his grandma?
at least early to mid 20s.
Okay.
Like,
Grown ass man though.
Enough to know better. Yeah. Enough to like, but like clearly one of those things where you're just like, that's just an unbalanced dude, and like the way his family reacted to this was not their first rodeo, and like it's like one of those things of like, great, we brought Jimmy out to the theater again, and like someone said something, and he can't be around normal people or something, you know. So it was another one of those things too. It was like I'm sitting there watching out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, if Bobby's jumping into the action, that's when I know like shit's going down, kind of thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so
you never know, man. That shit's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's movie theaters are just not the space they used to be, right? You just don't know these days.
Really aren't.
So I've got to ask, based off information I've received, I assume this gentleman's black, just based off dialogue.
You are 1 for 1, sir.
No, I knew that one. Yeah. And it was Black Panther. I was like, it's got to be.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too.
For me was when you and Waz had both said that his grandma was with him.
Yeah, that was the next hurdle.
You're either African American or you're Hispanic if your grandma's rolling with you to
to a movie theater for sure.
On like a casual day.
And like being perfectly honest too, like the grandma had an absolute amazing time. Like she was she was having the time of her life through the whole movie. Like she was having it was such good vibes. And then just like that whole thing, I was just like, oh man. And then obviously it's the three of us sitting up there, and we're just like, I'm just like, well, I'm on TikTok now somewhere, I'm sure, or like. But yeah, there's like I have seen that family there before, because there's one member of the family who always he has like a giant, like I'm talking like a 3 to 4 inch like digital screen watch that is always playing movie trailers. And he will watch those movie trailers through the trailers that are actually playing on the movie screen. And I've seen other people like get angry at him before too. It's like one of those things where it's like always at the big movies that are playing at that time, like on Sundays. So that dude is there every week, and he was part of that same group. And like, he's fine.
Have you seen this gentleman here today?
No, I haven't seen this other guy before, but now I feel like I need Bobby John to go with me to every movie I see too.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just, Waz and him are going to have to settle it in the parking lot at some point.
I would trust Waz in that situation.
Listen.
I think Waz would handle it well.
I don't know where we're cutting out on the pod here, but I
don't know either.
Between those two,
I don't know either.
Between those two, I would take Waz in that battle. This guy was like he was of a Joe Godomsky level of physicality.
A
stringy
gentleman. We're running it then.
Yeah.
If I'm there, I'm amping that situation up. If I know I can win that, all day I'm like, who's the
Tyler's like, it was this guy.
What did I miss?
Apparently the guy who was calling everybody a bitch, his physique was like Joe Godomsky-esque.
He was maybe.
Yeah.
He was a little.
So I was like, if that's the case, I'm escalating the situation.
He was a little taller.
I'm all over the place.
A little taller, but same overall build as Godomsky there.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But then to Nathaniel's point, at that point you got to start just doing the math. Like, all right, how many people with? And you start doing the math, like how many people you're like, if things do go south, I need to start looking at like,
you gotta assess. You gotta assess.
And I'm like, I've seen enough stadium fights. We got the high ground here. We'll be all right. Like,
very, very important.
I've seen Star Wars Episode 3.
Right. Yeah, I was just, it was one of those things where you're just adrenaline dumps, and like I'm not great with confrontation, especially in public with other people, anyways. So like,
and you're not drunk.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I just never know what to do because I'm always afraid.
Well, as you should be though, because you never really know. Those things can escalate.
And I just I know with my luck too, I'm gonna be the guy that like someone like tackles me, and I actually like do get him in a rear naked choke or something, and like accidentally kill them or something, and it's just gonna all be my fault. And and I'm just
you
gonna
hear those stories not too often, but it happens where like people just get in a fight and then all of a sudden someone's either severely injured or dead.
Right.
Just because they didn't realize like the strength that they were putting into whatever.
Or the other guy's just gonna have a knife or something, and I'm just gonna be dead.
Exactly.
That too.
So that's a crazy scenario I got into. This is maybe a month and a half ago with some friends, and we were out. Long story short, one of my buddies kind of gets into it with somebody, kind of that. And then like me and my other friend, we're just kind of like assessing the situation from the back, like, all right, this may go south.
Right.
But I'm not going to jump in right now. You know what I mean? I'm just going to kind of mind my own business. I'm observing the thing. But nonetheless, one of the other guys had a gun. So it's just like a really bad situation. Yeah. So we left from that. I told my buddy, I'm like, all right, dude, like, that's the last time you can put me in a situation like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to. I probably would shut that person out of my life, to be honest with you.
Dude, that was tough. To Adam's point too, you just never really know who you're talking to either.
Right,
you know what I mean? Or who you're arguing with. So somebody could have a gun, somebody could have a knife. It's just crazy, man.
Or nowadays they could just be a fucking like black belt in some random shit you don't know about.
That's also like quietly another fear of mine too. Like getting into a confrontation and like this guy actually boxes for a living.
Right,
like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like you're losing
yeah.
that fight 100%.
This was like a year or two ago, but there was that video that went viral of some MMA UFC fighter getting in a bar fight in the bathroom. And the guy's like twice his size and like trying to pick a fight, and the guy's trying to de-escalate it, and eventually he just can't, and so he just fucking takes him down immediately in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And it was like,
man.
Holy shit.
That's a nightmare, dude.
Yeah.
Number one rule, folks.
It ain't worth it. No conflict.
You see,
honestly, it's never worth it.
It never is. It never is. There's not a single situation that's going to be solved better by, assaulting someone.
Tell that to Justin in like his mid-20s at any bar we went to.
Yeah.
And if you see cauliflower ear,
5'7",
just walk away,
Justin.
Beer muscles, dude. Beer muscles like you wouldn't believe. Justin drinks, he turns into like 6'5", 310, fucking just the biggest dude you could possibly imagine.
Just a bouncer.
Just those are annoying people to go out with though. When it's just like, dude, when like people who just get angry when they get drunk and like try to pick those fights.
He doesn't get like angry, but like he gets like super judgmental.
Okay.
He'd be like, yo, the way that guy fucking looked at his drink is just a piece of shit.
I could definitely see it too.
And I'm like, why does that fucking bother you?
It's Justin's a white hat too. Be like, that guy, he bought his girl a drink and he didn't even say thank you afterwards. That's just not right. That's not how you treat a lady. And then every girl deserves to go to a ball. Just a real yes man scenario.
Yeah, and I'm always like, we could just tone this down.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Bar fights are just a fucking bad scene.
And remember, listeners, if you ever are in a fight and you see the guy's got cauliflower ear, just walk the other direction.
Yeah, just no good.
Just whatever you do, apologize, pay him whatever you need to pay him, and just walk the other direction because you're not winning that one. So anyways.
No shot.
We ready to pod?